Chapter 61 Umbu Nemesis Fengxu. Several Umbu wearing masks respectfully stopped in front of Fengxu. They are the patrol Umbu in the village, and their duty is to stop and punish ninjas who fight in the street or damage public property. You want a fine from me? Fengxu had a strange look on his face. Could it be that he hasn't killed enough? These Umbu actually have the courage to come together. In his consciousness, Naruto also noticed Fengxu's thoughts. He quickly shouted, Fengxu, you have to calm down. They are just enforcing the law impartially. I'll pay for it, and the cost will be deducted from my 10% royalties. The book Young Aming became very popular and made a lot of money. Although Naruto can only get 10% of what he earns, but it also makes it difficult for him to pack the small frog money he currently has. In the end, I had to change to a larger piggy bank to save this huge sum of more than 1 million taels. And with this money, Naruto not only realized the freedom of ramen, but also the freedom of barbecue. In addition, after relying on Fengxu's methods to rectify some businesses, Naruto has been living quite comfortably in the past few months. Even his short stature due to long-term malnutrition has now grown taller, almost as tall as Sakura. Originally, Cai Wang's face had a complexion, plus Fengxu's own temperament and appearance, so he was regarded as a handsome guy. There was even a time when the mantra was you can't spend it all, you can't spend it all. This makes Sakura, who comes from an ordinary family, jealous. So Naruto felt that it was not a big deal at all to pay some money for compensation. It just happened to guide Fengxu on the right path, not to kill at will, and to fulfill his mission of positive personality. Fengxu ignored Naruto's shouting. Seeing several Umbu nodding and looking businesslike, he couldn't help but ask again. Then why don't you go after that green watermelon head just now? What? You think I'm easy to bully? Invisible pressure spreads out along with the words. The bodies of these patrolling Umbu, who were only at Chunin level, felt a little weak. Their rank is very low, and their daily patrols are not dangerous. They are used to replace the long-abolished Uchiha security department. So I don't know many of Fengxu's deeds. I only know that Jinchuriki wrote a very profitable book called Little Emperor's Uncle. Sir, we are just following the rules. You, just pay half of it. Feeling the pressure personally, Fengxu had no fear of public officials like them. Several Umbu who were of low status were immediately frightened and called them adults. Xiaoying, who was well aware of Fengxu's deeds later on, saw that a few people were so dishonest, so she quickly kindly reminded them. You should leave quickly. Even if Lord Hokage comes, Fengxu will not let him compensate. Several people looked at me and I looked at you, feeling a little undecided for a moment. Fengxu, on the other hand, was too lazy to mess with a few minions. You definitely can't take money, even if it's Naruto's share, it's still his. It's impossible for Konoha to build some rubbish building? Then he raised his hand, and the 9 tails chakra faintly stretched out from his arm. However, before Fengxu could take action, these Umbu were thrown away by a few sudden slaps. And the force was so strong that the Umbu mask on his face shattered, revealing his swollen cheeks. You bunch of idiots, get out of here. Have you forgotten the order not to mess with Jinchuriki? An Umbu wearing a white hood stood in front of him. He looked angry but actually cursed a few words in a protective tone. Then he turned around respectfully and bowed to Fengxu. Lord Fengxu, I am Lord Hokage's personal guard, codename Xiang. These blind fools, I will punish them for offending you later. By the way, your exam is about to start. How about I take you there now? Those low-level Umbu don't know, but they, the personal guards, know it very well. The sub-personality Fengxu masters the power of 9 tails, possesses shadow-level combat power, is irritable and bloodthirsty, and has killed many Jonin and Umbu root ninjas, making him extremely dangerous. Don't reach out to hit the smiling person. But Fengxu still stretched out his hand and patted the mask of Xiang who was bowing in front of him. You're very nice. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't pursue it further. Lead the way. Being slapped in the face by Fengxu, Xiang's heart was on high alert, and sweat could not help but seep out from his forehead. At the same time, some people complained about Naruto's personality and released this crazy god again for no reason. However, after hearing that Fengxu would not pursue the case, he breathed a sigh of relief and felt relieved. Then he hurriedly walked in front, leading the way in a dog-legged manner. Sir, there are 2 other children. I will take you there directly. There is no need to submit applications. Boom! Xiang pushed open the door and respectfully welcomed the 3 of them into the examination room for the first exam. Sir, the first exam is here. Well, you can go. Fengxu nodded casually. Because Xiang led them to the special passage for the invigilator. So I wasn't led in by Kakashi like in the original plot. I just don't know if Kakashi will be stupid enough to wait there. Looking at Fengxu, Xiang looked hesitant and wanted to say something. But in the end he did not dare to speak, but walked towards the invigilator on duty outside the passage. Nothing else, just tell them not to worry about Fengxu and just treat him like an uncle. Not only did the 3 Fengxu people arrive last, but Umbu also escorted them respectfully, which immediately attracted attention. Which young master are these 3 from? Sarutobi, Shimura or Haiga? I'm so envious. As soon as I was born, I was at the destination we wanted to reach. That's right, I must be here to get some gold. The rustling whispers contained envy, disdain, and curses. You guys, stop talking nonsense, the 3 of them are my friends, they are just ordinary ninjas. Inuzuka Kiba glared at the crowd fiercely, and then walked over. It's just that he didn't notice it from a distance, but when he walked in, Naruto's dress and temperament shocked him. What the hell? Handsome guy, please don't tell me you are Naruto. Fengxu ignored him, glanced at him and stepped forward to find a seat to sit down. Sasuke followed suit and stepped forward to sit next to Fengxu with a cold face. Sakura behind her nodded crazily towards Kiba. It's Naruto, but it's not Naruto. Anyway, just think of him as Naruto. Tooth. Hinata, who was behind her teeth, was smoking like a steam princess. His face turned red to the back of his ears, and he barely managed to hold himself up against the wall to avoid being fainted by Shuei. Naruto is so handsome like this. The three Shikamaru from class 10 also approached. They all looked sideways at Fengxu with doubts and disbelief on their faces. Especially Ino, who looked at Sasuke and then at Fengxu, completely immersed in self-doubt. Because there was no danger in the past 2 months, Fengxu never showed up. When they saw Fengxu and Sasuke arriving, Kabuto had already been waiting for them and hurried over. As a senior who has experienced the situation, he used his identity as a senior, and also took out some information cards of the characters. It's a pity that Fengxu and Sasuke didn't look down on him, but the other people looked at him enthusiastically. Chapter 61 Umbu Nemesis Fengxu. Several Umbu wearing masks respectfully stopped in front of Fengxu. They are the patrol Umbu in the village, and their duty is to stop and punish ninjas who fight in the street or damage public property. You want a fine from me? Fengxu had a strange look on his face. Could it be that he hasn't killed enough? These Umbu actually have the courage to come together. In his consciousness, Naruto also noticed Fengxu's thoughts. He quickly shouted, Fengxu, you have to calm down. They are just enforcing the law impartially. I'll pay for it, and the cost will be deducted from my 10% royalties. The book Young Ming became very popular and made a lot of money. Although Naruto can only get 10% of what he earns, but it also makes it difficult for him to pack the small frog money he currently has. In the end, I had to change to a larger piggy bank to save this huge sum of more than 1 million taels. And with this money, Naruto not only realized the freedom of ramen, but also the freedom of barbecue. In addition, after relying on Fengxu's methods to rectify some businesses, Naruto has been living quite comfortably in the past few months. Even his short stature due to long-term malnutrition has now grown taller, almost as tall as Sakura. Originally, Cai Wang's face had a complexion, plus Fengxu's own temperament and appearance, so he was regarded as a handsome guy. There was even a time when the mantra was you can't spend it all, you can't spend it all. This makes Sakura, who comes from an ordinary family, jealous. So Naruto felt that it was not a big deal at all to pay some money for compensation. It just happened to guide Fengxu on the right path, not to kill at will, and to fulfill his mission of positive personality. Fengxu ignored Naruto's shouting. Seeing several Umbu nodding and looking businesslike, he couldn't help but ask again. Then why don't you go after that green watermelon head just now? What? You think I'm easy to bully? Invisible pressure spreads out along with the words. The bodies of these patrolling Umbu, who were only at Chunin level, felt a little weak. Their rank is very low, and their daily patrols are not dangerous. They are used to replace the long-abolished Uchiha security department. So I don't know many of Fengxu's deeds. I only know that Jinchuriki wrote a very profitable book called Little Emperor's Uncle. Sir, we are just following the rules. You, just pay half of it. Feeling the pressure personally, Fengxu had no fear of public officials like them. Several Umbu who were of low status were immediately frightened and called them adults. Xiaoying, who was well aware of Fengxu's deeds later on, saw that a few people were so dishonest, so she quickly kindly reminded them. You should leave quickly. Even if Lord Hokage comes, Fengxu will not let him compensate. Several people looked at me and I looked at you, feeling a little undecided for a moment. Fengxu, on the other hand, was too lazy to mess with a few minions. You definitely can't take money, even if it's Naruto's share, it's still his. It's impossible for Konoha to build some rubbish building? Then he raised his hand, and the 9 tails chakra faintly stretched out from his arm. However, before Fengxu could take action, these Umbu were thrown away by a few sudden slaps. And the force was so strong that the Umbu mask on his face shattered, revealing his swollen cheeks. You bunch of idiots, get out of here. Have you forgotten the order not to mess with Jinchuriki? An Umbu wearing a white hood stood in front of him. He looked angry but actually cursed a few words in a protective tone. Then he turned around respectfully and bowed to Fengxu. Lord Fengxu, I am Lord Hokage's personal guard, codename Xiang. These blind fools, I will punish them for offending you later. By the way, your exam is about to start. How about I take you there now? Those low-level Umbu don't know, but they, the personal guards, know it very well. The sub-personality Fengxu masters the power of 9 tails, possesses shadow-level combat power, is irritable and bloodthirsty, and has killed many Jonin and Umbu root ninjas, making him extremely dangerous. Don't reach out to hit the smiling person. But Fengxu still stretched out his hand and patted the mask of Xiang who was bowing in front of him. You're very nice. I'm in a good mood today, so I won't pursue it further. Lead the way. Being slapped in the face by Fengxu, Xiang's heart was on high alert, and sweat could not help but seep out from his forehead. At the same time, some people complained about Naruto's personality and released this crazy god again for no reason. However, after hearing that Fengxu would not pursue the case, he breathed a sigh of relief and felt relieved. Then he hurriedly walked in front, leading the way in a dog-legged manner. Sir, there are 2 other children. I will take you there directly. There is no need to submit applications. Boom! Xiang pushed open the door and respectfully welcomed the three of them into the examination room for the first exam. Sir, the first exam is here. Well, you can go. Fengxu nodded casually, because Xiang led them to the special passage for the invigilator. So I wasn't led in by Kakashi like in the original plot. I just don't know if Kakashi will be stupid enough to wait there. Looking at Fengxu, Xiang looked hesitant and wanted to say something. But in the end he did not dare to speak, but walked towards the invigilator on duty outside the passage. Nothing else, just tell them not to worry about Fengxu and just treat him like an uncle. Not only did the three Fengxu people arrive last, but also escorted them respectfully, which immediately attracted attention. Which young master are these three from? Sarutobi, Shimura or Hyuga? I'm so envious. As soon as I was born, I was at the destination we wanted to reach. That's right, I must be here to get some gold. The rustling whispers contained envy, disdain, and curses. You guys, stop talking nonsense, the three of them are my friends, they are just ordinary ninjas. Inuzuka Kiba glared at the crowd fiercely, and then walked over. It's just that he didn't notice it from a distance, but when he walked in, Naruto's dress and temperament shocked him. What the hell? Handsome guy, please don't tell me you are Naruto. Fengxu ignored him, glanced at him and stepped forward to find a seat to sit down. Sasuke followed suit and stepped forward to sit next to Fengxu with a cold face. Sakura behind her nodded crazily towards Kiba. It's Naruto, but it's not Naruto. Anyway, just think of him as Naruto. Tooth. Hinata, who was behind her teeth, was smoking like a steam princess. His face turned red to the back of his ears, and he barely managed to hold himself up against the wall to avoid being fainted by Shuei. Naruto is so handsome like this. The three Shikamaru from class 10 also approached. They all looked sideways at Fengxu with doubts and disbelief on their faces. Especially Ino, who looked at Sasuke and then at Fengxu, completely immersed in self-doubt. Because there was no danger in the past 2 months, Fengxu never showed up. When they saw Fengxu and Sasuke arriving, Kabuto had already been waiting for them and hurried over. As a senior who has experienced the situation, he used his identity as a senior, and also took out some information cards of the characters. It's a pity that Fengxu and Sasuke didn't look down on him, but the other people looked at him enthusiastically. Chapter 63 Jiraiya was caught peeping. In the examination room, the unknowing candidates also used their own tricks to cheat. Sakura and Hinata relied on their own knowledge to write quickly. Ye relies on Akamaru's dog language to cheat, and Shino relies on the parasite to spy on the answer. Ino turned around carefully and recited Sakura's answer directly, and then passed it to Shikamaru and Koji. Tiantian used a hidden weapon to tie a mirror belt to Xiaoli on the ceiling, and Niji used his Byakugan to see through it. The last Sasuke also activates the Sharingan copy action. As for Bai and Xianglin, one used ice crystals to reflect the answer, and the other just looked at it with Kagura's inner eye. As Ibuxi tested the candidates with the 10th question that did not exist at the end. The first written test ended soon. Then Hongdu's second grader appeared, indicating that she would invigilate the second exam in the afternoon. And Naruto also took back control of his body immediately. However, he did not change his appearance after coming out. Instead, he followed suit and walked out of the examination room with an air of dignity. Although it looks a bit awkward and stiff. But those female ninjas who were not familiar with Fengxu couldn't tell the difference at all. Everyone was staring at Naruto's back as he walked away, whispering things like how handsome he is and how I love his temperament. It wasn't until I walked out of the examination room that the crowds became sparse. Only then did Naruto stop, his ape-like figure breathing heavily. Thinking back to the feeling of being noticed by the girls just now, the excitement on his face could no longer be suppressed, and he jumped up, dancing and shouting towards the sky. Cool. So cool. Sakura. Sasuke. Naruto, can't you learn more from Fengxu and be more prudent? Obviously you are all one person and share the same body. There was great regret and confusion in Sakura's small eyes. Again, they are obviously the same person, but they are still wearing the same look. Why is Naruto so stupid and insensitive to her? Sasuke shook his head in disgust and snorted. He didn't understand what Naruto felt so good about. Those women were obviously very annoying and would only affect his study and practice. Ha ha ha, you don't understand, this is a physical division of labor. My main theme is optimism and positivity, while Fengxu's main theme is resolute and cool. The two of us combined, we are the fearless Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto is very happy now. It is the first time for him to enjoy Sasuke's treatment and he feels so happy. After all, the person he is now is not the 7th Hokage who cut his hair to look like he was in jail and became calm. You must know that more than 3 months ago, he was still a fox monster that everyone hated. 90% of what is said about him are vicious curses, and there will be no such praise at all. Try to get rid of the bad memories of the past from your mind. Naruto excitedly changed the subject as he walked, talking to the two about what he had experienced in the exam. Sasuke, you guys don't know, Fengxu actually doesn't know how to do these questions. After he got the test paper and read a few questions, his face darkened, and he got up and was about to beat up the examiners. But luckily I stopped him in time, otherwise we might have been eliminated. Naruto spoke matter-of-factly, and looked like you're going to praise me for my abilities. Then take the dick in your mouth. Sakura rolled her eyes, not believing that Fengxu would be stopped by Naruto. If he could really be stopped, Fengxu wouldn't have brutally killed so many ninjas before. Of course, they didn't know that Fengxu killed Umbu, who was directly under the Hokage, and destroyed the root base. The two were knocked unconscious by a sneak attack and did not wake up until the next day. However, Sasuke on the side became interested and turned around to ask for the first time. Then how did Fengxu cheat and write the test paper in the end? You can't just hand in a blank paper, right? Sasuke probably shook his head after saying this. It shouldn't be like this. Only an idiot like you is stupid enough to hand in a blank paper. Sasuke, who was habitually ready to scold Naruto for being a jerk. Remembering that Naruto was only slightly weaker than himself, he finally became an idiot. Naruto was about to retort, but when he turned around and thought, he really couldn't and didn't dare to cheat. In the end, I could only say, I didn't hand in the blank paper because someone nearby helped Fengxu finish the test paper. And that person seems to have been arranged by the examiners. Anyway, I saw that person named Ubuxi smiling at Fengxu, and his smile was ugly. Arrange examiners to help cheat. Sakura was shocked. Could she be so willful if she was so powerful? Sasuke on the side was not too surprised, with an expression that a strong man should have such privileges. Suddenly, a burst of obscene laughter not far away reached the ears of the three of them. He stopped and looked around. What he saw was a figure squatting in front of the partition board, with white hair reaching his waist, wearing a red coat, and carrying a large scroll behind his back. I remember this seems to be the back wall of a bathhouse, and the courtyard inside is an open-air bath. Sakura's face became redder and redder as she spoke, and she suddenly understood what the person in front of her was doing. Naruto also jumped 3 meters high, pointed at the back and shouted, "Ah, it's a peeping Tom. A pervert is peeping through the cracks in the board." The figure in front also heard the shouting, and immediately got up in shock and was about to run away. But Naruto obviously didn't intend to let him go, so he shouted at the top of his lungs, "Catch the pervert? There is a pervert peeping at women, ugh. Hey, you little brat, keep your voice down, or you will be discovered." The figure that was still running away had already ducked behind Naruto at some point. He also picked up Naruto and covered his yelling mouth. What a speed. It's almost the same as the watermelon head from before. Sakura and Sasuke were startled at the same time, and then quickly took out their weapons and pointed them forward. At the same time, he warned, "Who are you? Put Naruto down quickly. Otherwise, when that guy comes out later, your death will be in vain." Naruto? That guy? The white-haired man who caught Naruto seemed to realize something. After exclaiming, he quickly released Naruto's mouth and raised it in front of him to check. It's really similar. And this hairstyle and appearance, they are so much better than me. Naruto, who was praised by the man, was not proud at all, but struggled wildly. "Who are you, you disgusting pervert? Put me down quickly." "Good question, but please wait a moment." The white-haired man put Naruto down. "After tidying up my instrument, I stepped on my clogs." He danced a dance that was so low that everyone got goosebumps. "Ahahaha. I am the Toad Spirit Sage Jutsu of Mount Myaboku, Jiraiya, also known as Toad Sage." Naruto stood in front after dancing the last finger. "I am also your future teacher." Uzumaki Naruto Chapter 64 Jiraiya almost died. Immortal. Naruto's future teacher. Naru Sasakura and the other three all looked unbelievable. He even quietly stepped back, wanting to stay away from this guy who didn't look like a good person. "When they leave here, go find Umbu's people to catch this pervert." "You don't believe me? I didn't expect that Toad Sage, one of my legendary Sannin, wouldn't even know the name of a few brats." Jiraiya looked up at the sky at 45 degrees with some melancholy, and then shook his head helplessly. "That's all, let me show you what I am capable of." With that said, Jiraiya instantly appeared in front of Naruto and Sasuke. Before the two of them could react, Jiraiya's two hands were touching their foreheads respectively. The art of ninja, the art of frog transformation. Bang! Gugwa! Sasuke turned into a frog. Sakura from behind exclaimed. Then he looked at Naruto who didn't respond, but Naruto hasn't changed. Jiraiya in front also looked at Naruto with a curious expression. But Naruto raised his head, revealing a completely different cold face from before. "It's Fengxu." Sakura now understood why Naruto hadn't been hit. Then he quickly shouted, "Fengxu, please save Sasuke, he has been turned into a frog by this big pervert." I am not a big pervert. I was just collecting information." "Yes, collecting information." When Sakura called him a pervert, Jiraiya immediately retorted loudly. Then he looked around with a guilty conscience. After seeing if there were any strangers around, he breathed a sigh of relief and looked at Fengxu in front of him again. "Are you the Naruto's sub-personality mentioned in the old man's letter?" The personality and temperament are really different. As expected, the main personality is more similar. Whoosh! Jiraiya's words were interrupted by the sudden appearance of a fox tail. And he also quickly retracted his arm, jumped 5 meters away from his feet, and barely escaped the cut of the fox tail. 9 Tails Chakra. I actually completely mastered it, without any trace of going berserk. The curiosity on Jiraiya's face was about to overflow, and he looked at Fengxu with some thoughts in his eyes. Click! The thumb of Fengxu's right hand pressed his index finger, and his tone was solemn. "Oh, why do you think I am the secondary personality instead of Naruto?" Because Naruto was sealed by his empty mind and turned into a frog. But that uncomfortable feeling still spread to Fengxu, making him very unhappy. When he is unhappy, he gets very irritable, wants to vent his anger, and wants to kill someone? It's possible, but I've never heard of a subpersonality that can control sovereignty. Are you a special case? Looking at Jiraiya's half-smiling expression, the fox tail behind Fengxu swept the Suzuki frog at his feet. Gugwa. After the Suzuki frog croaked, it turned into a parabola and fell into the trees in the distance. Sakura on the side also understood at this time that this was a prelude to a fight. He quickly ran into the bushes and picked up Suzuki, the frog with dull eyes. On the field. Wait until everyone who is in the way is gone. Fengxu's figure disappeared in an instant. When he reappeared, he was already behind Jiraiya. At the same time, the body suddenly squatted down, and the waist and calves exerted force instantly. Throw out the lower kick with a sound that breaks through the air, and spiral up, then kick out the upper kick with the other leg. In the back. Jiraiya stopped smiling and turned around quickly. What kind of whirlwind is this? I didn't expect you to learn physical skills from Kai. As he spoke, Jiraiya stamped his feet, jumped back and turned over in the air with great confidence. Then he loosened his bound long hair and threw his head towards Fengxu in front of him. Ninja technique, the technique of chaosing lion's hair. The long white hair that spread out instantly stretched out like tentacles. Just the blink of an eye. These elongated white hairs were like snakes wrapping around their prey, tightly binding Fengxu's limbs. Then the moment he landed, his hands that had completed the seal slapped the ground again. Earth-style Yellow Springs Numa. Fengxu was bound by his hair, and the ground beneath his feet turned into a swamp. His feet were instantly restrained and most of it was swallowed inside. After responding in less than 3 seconds, Jiraiya spoke confidently. You can't be so violent to your teacher, or you'll be spanked. Ouch. Before Jiraiya could finish his confident words, he screamed and quickly cut off his extended hair. Fengxu, who was restrained in front of him, sneered. Then the golden-red chakra instantly covered the whole body, like a blazing fire in the sky. The fox tail behind him changed from 1 to 9 in the blink of an eye, blocking out the sky and the sun, casting a large amount of haze. I'm just trying out some physical skills with you. As he spoke, all the white hair on Fengxu's body turned into ashes. The swamp under your feet was instantly baked and dried up like kill bricks. The next second. Buzz. A violent buzzing sound echoed all around. Fengxu's figure disappeared again. Where he stood, there was only a circle of sonic boom clouds spreading outward. The trampled ground cracked and sunk outward from the center, like a spider web, and a huge pit collapsed. It's actually 9 tails. And this speed and power are simply inhuman. An idea just appeared in Jiraiya's mind before his body had time to react. A huge force came from his abdomen, making him fly into the air. Then a voice came from Fengxu below him. So if you can be injured by 4 tails, what qualifications do you have to lecture me? Click. Fengxu below raised his head and pressed his ring finger with his thumb. The golden and red fox tails on his back were all erected, ready to be aimed at the floating Jiraiya. Too fast. Looking at Fengxu below, who looked like a blooming fire lotus, Jiraiya's eyes widened in disbelief. A terrifying death warning sounded in his heart. This is not a student waiting to be taught at all, this is clearly a tailed beast wearing human skin. It seems that it was after he used the frog transformation technique to seal Naruto's mind. As a result, the subpersonality Fengxu came out to take charge of the body, so the body was not turned into a frog, and he was too arrogant in the battle just now. If you had been serious, you wouldn't have fallen into this situation with just a few moves. There was no time for Jiraiya to regret it, as all the foxtails below that were ready to go were shot out. Just like a gorgeous fire lotus growing in the magma, it is blooming towards the sky. Along with the falling blood flowers, a roar with smoke appeared. Bang! Boom! The smoke dissipated, and a huge toad held a bowl-shaped shield downwards, firmly blocking the bloodshot fox tail. Immediately afterwards, Jiraiya's weak voice came out belatedly. Psychic art. The art of frog transformation, solved. At the same time, Fengxu's expression below changed, and a huge pulling force emerged. After a while, all the fox tails dispersed, and the golden and red flames on the body also disappeared. Naruto looked around with clear and stupid eyes. Huh. Didn't I turn into a toad? Chapter 65 Jiraiya. Fortunately, Ming is the fictional protagonist. Call. I almost died, it was really dangerous. Seeing Naruto with a silly look on his face came back. Jiraiya, who was covered in blood, finally breathed a sigh of relief. After all, he is not the perverted shoe-faced king of hell wearing a Sichuan opera mask in some game. He couldn't handle the strength of a half-complete 9 tails, so he was lucky to be able to keep a whole body. The huge toad Takeru on the side looked at the injured Jiraiya and lowered his head in sadness. I'm sorry, I'm so useless. It has nothing to do with you, it's just that I reacted too slowly. Jiraiya waved his hand weakly, and then said, thank you this time, you can go back first. As soon as the words fell, the huge toad disappeared without a trace. What's wrong with you, big pervert? Did you get caught peeping and beat you seriously? Ha ha ha. Naruto also saw Jiraiya's miserable condition, but for the first time, he didn't step forward to care. Instead, he smiled extremely happily. A voyeuristic pervert like you with a muffled voice deserves to be beaten. Next to him, Sakura, who had a rosy face, and Sasuke, who had an unnatural expression, also came to Naruto's side. Just after Naruto recovered, Sasuke also recovered. So Sakura changed from holding a toad to holding Sasuke. All in all, the situation was a bit awkward. In order to break the embarrassment, Sakura, who looked delighted, took the initiative to bring the topic to Naruto. This pervert was not caught and beaten, but after he attacked you too, Fengxu came out and beat him half to death. Hearing this, Sasuke also sneered, you really deserve it, I've already warned this disgusting pervert. Jiraiya. One bite from the left is a pervert, and one from the right deserves it. Jiraiya felt that his reputation in this life was completely ruined. Just now, I shouldn't have made the old habit of peeking around the corner again. I told you I'm not a pervert, and I don't mean any harm. It's really the old man, the teacher that third Hokage found for Naruto. As if he was afraid that some people would not believe him, Jiraiya took out the letters he had sent to and from Hiruzen Sarutobi. I just wanted to collect materials for art and find inspiration to defeat the mortal enemy that has suppressed my art recently. There are also these letters, all written to me personally by the third Hokage. Jiraiya was willing to come back so quickly and take the initiative to accept Naruto as his disciple. It was because Sarutobi Hiruzen said that Naruto's sub-personality had mastered the power of 9 tails. Now he feels that he must have come to the right place. Such a powerful force can completely overturn the structure of the ninja world and bring long-term peace or destruction. Coupled with the name Naruto, maybe the child of prophecy he has been looking for is right in front of him, and the situation is very consistent. The kind-hearted Naruto can definitely bring peace with this power, and the violent Fengxu can definitely overturn the ninja world with this power. Isn't this what Great Toad Sage calls a major change? Ahead. The three of them looked at what Jiraiya took out, all looking towards the intimacy paradise. Then they turned around and looked at each other. Naruto, it turns out he also wrote about the little emperor's uncle, and the sworn enemy who suppresses his art, isn't it Fengxu? Sakura expressed her guess, and Sasuke on the other side nodded slightly. Fengxu, aiming, Uzumaki Naruto, Uzumaki Fengxu. Jiraiya, who heard the conversation between the two, read Fengxu and Naruto's names several times and screamed in surprise. After swallowing his saliva, he asked cautiously, isn't that boy aiming written by Fengxu, Naruto's sub-personality? Yes, it was written by Fengxu. Naruto promised with pride on his face. The stories in that are all adapted from your own experience. The more Jiraiya talked, the more contorted his face became, and the original joy of finding the son of prophecy turned into jealousy. How is that possible? I'm just a kid. Naruto had a stinky face, an expression that looked like you were having trouble with your head. Ha ha ha, that's good, that's good. The expression on Jiraiya's face relaxed and he laughed. It would be great if it wasn't true, otherwise his sense of immersion in the future would be completely gone. Seeing Jiraiya so happy after knowing that it was not him who experienced the adaptation, Naruto suddenly felt a surge of anger in his heart, pointing at Jiraiya and shouting angrily. You're just like Fengxu, writing about little emperor uncle, but you're also saying you're not a pervert. Comparing his feelings, Naruto thought that Fengxu's ability to write so beautifully had a lot to do with his long-term involvement in women's bathhouses. And the Jiraiya in front of him can also write very well, he has obviously been peeping for a long time like him, only a kid my age can think of it as a prank. But if you are peeping at your age, it is a crime. I'm going to sue you, make your evil deeds public. Don't, everyone is engaged in art, so please cough, cough, cough. Jiraiya was so anxious that he coughed up blood. The wound that had been managed to stop bleeding with chakra began to gush out blood. Just when Jiraiya was at his wit's end, the belated Umbu ninjas finally arrived here. Jiraiya-sama, it turns out you are fighting that ancestor. The Umbu ninja wearing a mask and hood was the elephant who guided Naruto and the others to the examination room. He quickly arrived in front of Jiraiya, and then waved to the back. Quickly, someone comes here to heal your wounds and stop the bleeding. A ninja who knew medical ninjutsu quickly stepped forward, his palm lit up with the green chakra of sage jutsu. Sorry to bother you. Jiraiya showed a kind smile and thanked him. Then he pointed to the 3 Narutos on one side and said, explain it to them, they don't believe me. Who wants to believe you, a big pervert? Naruto glared at Jiraiya angrily. Sasuke and Sakura on the side also nodded in agreement, with contempt on their faces. Elephant. Xiang was speechless, he had already guessed what Jiraiya had done. Inwardly he applauded Fengxu for beating him, but on the surface he explained obediently. Naruto Uzumaki, Lord Jiraiya is indeed the teacher that Lord Hokage has found for you, a teacher who can help you use the power of 9 tails. With Xiang's compliments and the spread of Jiraiya's past honors, the 3 of them finally changed their minds. This big pervert. Pervy sage is so powerful. After hearing that it could help master the power of 9 tails, Naruto's name changed from wolf to sage. Jiraiya also nodded proudly, that's natural. You will come with me later, and I will test your condition during lunch. Sasuke on the side saw this and stood up after hesitating for a moment. Teacher Toad Sage, please take me to practice together. I don't need you to be too concerned, just give me some guidance. Uchiha's last bloodline. Jiraiya also looked at Sasuke carefully. After a moment, he shook his head, I don't know much about Uchiha's Sharingan. It's best for you to find Kakashi. Jiraiya always recruits disciples to find the son of prophecy, and he has no interest in irrelevant people. After saying that, without waiting for the Umbu ninja to continue treatment, he directly took Naruto and left here. Looking at Naruto walking away, Sasuke clenched his fists tightly, a trace of jealousy and unwillingness flashed in his eyes. Then with a gloomy face, he quickly left without saying a word. Sasuke. Sakura was caught off guard by this sudden change. She had an inexplicable premonition that Sasuke would part ways with them soon. Chapter 66, The Beast Needs to be Beaten Before He Becomes Obedient. Hokage Office. Sarutobi Hiruzen stared at the crystal ball with a gloomy face, not even smoking the dry cigarette he usually smoked. Isn't even Jiraiya no longer his opponent? Isn't this growth rate too fast? Recalling that within a few moves, Fengxu had beaten Jiraiya so hard that he had to lift the seal and let Naruto suppress it. Sarutobi Hiruzen has a kind of inner fear and uneasiness. Fengxu's personality definitely wasn't born just 3 months ago. Perhaps he has existed from the beginning, but he has never been prominent. Continuously hide yourself, slowly carry out unknown training, and master the chakra of 9 tails. It's just that now he has enough ability to protect himself, so he communicated with Naruto to appear frequently. Sarutobi Hiruzen felt that things should be as he had guessed. Otherwise, you can master 9 tails chakra perfectly in 3 months. He also has terrifying combat experience, enough to defeat ninjas with shadow-level strength. This cannot be explained by talent at all, it is too fantasy. And there is that inexplicable physical skill, why can't Naruto use it to full effect? Sarutobi Hiruzen felt that there was a big mystery in Fengxu. He even suspected that Fengxu had been practicing in the 9 tails seal these years, and be guided by the remaining chakra of Minato or Kushina. However, this cannot explain the mystery of Fengxu. But one thing is for sure. In the past 3 months, Fengxu had gained a firm foothold in Naruto's heart. With Naruto's character, it will definitely be difficult for him to cooperate in eradicating or sealing Fengxu, and there will also be conflicts. So it's best to let Naruto take the lead, and then continue to study sealing techniques as a backup. Although it is just a guess, we must make plans in advance. Thinking in his heart, Sarutobi Hiruzen tapped his fingers on the desk. Soon, an Umbu came out of the shadows. After Jiraiya and Naruto are separated, let him come to my place. Yes. In the consciousness on the other side. Looking at Jiraiya taking Naruto away, Fengxu understood that the 5 elements seal would soon be unlocked, and Naruto was able to reperceive and try to use the 9 tails chakra. Because of my regular use and my body's long-term adaptation to 9 tails chakra, Naruto will definitely not take a long time to successfully guide and utilize it, as in the original work. The degree of control will also become very easy because of him. Therefore, Fengxu also needs to make some plans in advance to prevent Naruto from getting rid of his dependence on him. It's time to meet 9 tails and my nominal parents. After the trust and dependence value reaches 50%, Fengxu has a certain degree of initiative over his body. Therefore, he does not have to be forced to stay in this desolate consciousness space all the time, and can go to other spaces in this body. For example, the sealed space where 9 tails stays. Tick-tock. In the blink of an eye, the environment around Fengxu changed rapidly. We came to a dark space where there was water on the ground and there were many dripping pipes around it, like a city sewer. At the end of this space is a row of huge iron bars similar to those of a prison. On the keyhole of the door in the middle of the railing, a sealing talisman paper was quietly pasted there. Standing in front of the railing, Fengxu looked steadily at the darkness and nothingness behind the railing and said, "Kurema, come out and meet me." The moment Fengxu finished speaking, a pair of scarlet vertical pupils appeared in the darkness. Subsequently, whoosh, ba, a sharp nail carried strong wind across the railing, causing sparks to fly from the darkness behind the railing. Clang! Fengxu didn't move. A huge golden red fox tail poked out from behind and stood up in front of him. He firmly blocked the protruding sharp nails 1 centimeter away from Fengxu's eyebrows. Hey ha ha ha, interesting, so interesting. What you have on you is indeed my chakra. And it's not the other half of my chakra that is yin. A large amount of smelly wind came from behind the railing. 9 tails finally emerged from the darkness, revealing a slender fox face with a wide grin. Actually, you are not the subpersonality of that kid outside at all, are you? 9 tails retracted his nails and continued to talk to himself without giving Fengxu a chance to refute. You don't need to refute. I have lived for so long and have seen more things than you have eaten. With those extreme negative emotions in you, as well as the chakra that can generate itself and perfectly control me, you are clearly a tailed beast wearing human skin. And it's a new tailed beast born from my chakra. The more 9 tails talked, the more excited he became, and the more he talked, the more it made sense. In the end, the entire fox body even stood up. There must be something wrong with the half of me on the other side of Shinigami's belly to allow you to be born and form chakra. Although I don't know why it is Yang attribute, there is a high probability that it is affected by my attribute. After a thorough analysis, 9 tails began to slap the guardrail vigorously. Okay, that's great. My brother, hurry up and release me. From now on, I will take care of you, and I can even lend you the chakra. 9 tails who don't understand the alien demons and the system. I can only force myself to explain myself and decipher the rationality of the chakra on Fengxu that is as powerful as him. Fengxu, listen to 9 tails inexplicably deceive yourself and self-strategize. Fengxu had prepared the words, but he didn't know how to say them out for a moment. After frowning for a while, Fengxu spoke. It's a pity that you guessed wrong. I am not the consciousness born in your chakra, but the original owner of this body. If I have to say it, the one outside is the consciousness born later. Fengxu's last words were not meant for 9 tails, but it was for Minato and Kushina chakra who didn't show up, and he wasn't in the habit of being a little brother to a fox. especially a fox who was imprisoned and had some mental problems. What do you mean? Ninetails' smile froze on his face. Then he leaned on the railing and opened his bloody mouth, revealing the densely packed sharp teeth inside. Angrily, he roared towards Fengxu and let out a fishy wind. You dare to question my words? The foul-smelling breath came with the saliva. Fengxu hid aside with a cold face, his eyes filled with coldness. Originally, I wanted to have a good communication with you and let your consciousness go out and relax. Now it seems that beasts are beasts, and they still have to be beaten before they can obey their master. Chapter 67, Release Ninetails, Minato Kushina appears. Damn brat. If you have the guts, let me out. If I don't swallow you up, I won't call you Karama. Being called a beast by Fengxu, Ninetails was so angry that the hair on his body stood up. He accidentally revealed his true thoughts. What younger brother, what new-tailed beast born from chakra? It's just that Ninetails coaxed Fengxu, and then when Fengxu let it out, it swallowed Fengxu and completed its own power? Fengxu also grinned and appeared in front of the seal in an instant. Thank you for reminding me, that's exactly what I meant. Compared to discussing or controlling Ninetails, it is definitely the safest way to swallow it and turn it into your own power. I just don't know if the half Ninetails of the system and the half Ninetails of the ninja world can be combined into one to become a complete Ninetails. If it was possible, then he wouldn't have to spend 50,000 blackening points to exchange for yin Ninetails. While thinking, Fengxu reached out directly to the ceiling talisman in front of him. At the same time, a rootless wind blew beside him, and a gentle and low male voice sounded. Stop. A blonde man with facial features very similar to Naruto's and wearing a god robe appeared. And he quickly reached out his right hand and grasped Fengxu's raised arm. Boom! Fengxu didn't even look back, his tail directly stabbed the railing beside him. Block the hand that wants to reach out to block you. At last. Tear. Crunch. Bang! With a harsh and unpleasant creaking sound, the iron door opened on both sides. Hee hee hee. Ha ha ha. Ninetails inside the door used its claws to claw at the inward door and slowly climbed out. There was also a maniacal laughter coming from its mouth. He put a paw on the railing of the door and looked at the blonde man with hatred and pleasure. You are finally willing to show up. Ninetails let out a hoarse roar filled with hatred. Wave, wind, water, door. Hearing Ninetails' hateful roar, Minato frowned and stared at it warily before speaking. Of course I don't want to show up right now, and I definitely don't want to see you, Ninetails. But if we can see our son grow up with our own eyes, let's just consider it even. After speaking, Minato took a step forward and stopped Fengxu in front of him with one hand. Then he said calmly without looking back. Ming. Fengxu, I don't know why you want to change your name, and I don't understand why you want to do this. But if you have any questions, we can talk about it later. Your mother and I can reclose the seal first. While Minato was speaking, another rootless wind blew by. Kushina, with messy red hair on her head, yawning and sleepy eyes, appeared next to her. Huh? Minato? Why did you wake me up before you disappeared? Did something happen to the seal? As she said that, Kushina saw the ferocious-looking Ninetails in front of her. She lowered her head and rubbed her eyes in disbelief, then raised her head again. Wow, it's Ninetails? There's really something wrong with the seal. Kushina turned around and pointed at Ninetails in the distance and jumped 3 feet high. Her hair was flying freely in the air. The beauty of the beauty awakening from the beginning is completely gone. But it was this turn of her head that allowed her to see Fengxu standing behind Minato with a cold face. You are Naruto? My child. Kushina was like a red missile, ramming directly into the water gate and pounced on Fengxu. Fengxu didn't intend to let Kushina hug him, so he stepped aside and let Kushina miss him. Kushina's eyes suddenly turned red after she failed, and her red hair started to flutter again. He looked like he was ready to charge again. Just like the witch in Quest for Survival? Okay Kushina, after we finish dealing with Ninetails, there will be plenty of time for you to hold me. Minato continued to comfort him, but all he got in exchange was Kushina's fist as big as a sandbag, which gave him a hard blow on the head. Why won't I hold my baby? It must be you, it's what you did. In the distance, Ninetails just recalled the humiliating days and accumulated anger. Seeing that all 3 members of this family suddenly arrived, they ignored it and started quarreling and fighting. Suddenly, blood surged up to the fox's brain, and he gathered the Ninetails in front of his mouth angrily. You guys are really laid back and arrogant. Then let me give you a ride and let your family go to hell to make dough. As he spoke, scarlet chakra and blue chakra began to condense towards the tip of the tail. After it condensed into a black-tailed beast jade sphere, Ninetails ate it in one bite. Then his cheeks swelled up quickly, and a terrifying force of destruction filled the air, bringing out bursts of wind pressure. Tailed beast cannon? If Jinchuriki is released as a tailed beast, it is also called a virtual dog cannon. Just use your mouth to give the tailed beast jade a pressure in a confined space, making it shoot faster and more powerfully. Naruto, be careful. Kushina, sensing the danger, quickly stood in front of Fengxu. Dense triangles of sharp chain heads appeared all over the body. Minato also rushed to the front with a quick stride. One hand covered the big bag above his head, and the other hand clenched the kunai with the runes of the flying thunder god on it. Shadow clone will copy everything on the body, and the remaining chakra is equivalent to shadow clone. Kushina, be careful to keep some chakra, otherwise you won't have a chance to talk for a while. Looking at the 2 solid backs blocking the front, Fengxu didn't expect that his secondary personality would be regarded by the two of them as a child they wanted to protect to the death. Could it be that his previous words had an effect and made them regard him as the protagonist? Although he doesn't understand it, Fengxu will not let these two chakras be exhausted. He will need these two chakras to help him later, and let them see with their own eyes what kind of life this body is living. See with your own eyes how the village and the people they protect with their lives insult and treat this body. Thinking of this, Fengxu stretched out his hand to separate the two of them without any politeness. My name is Fengxu, not Naruto. Also, if you want to be the parent of this body, it depends on how you behave in the future. Otherwise, Naruto and I were orphans who were shunned by others in the past, and we will only be orphans that no one dares to mess with in the future. While talking, Fengxu had already walked to the front. Ming, Fengxu. Kushina's eyes were full of anxiety and she hurriedly prepared to step forward. But Minato stopped her and gave her a reassuring look. Fengxu is very powerful. He has been protecting Naruto, and because of some encounters, he hates everything. We have to believe him and we can't offend him anymore. Ahead. Fengxu, who was in a bad mood, soon saw flame-like terrifying golden-red chakra rising up all over his body, and with every step he takes, the golden-red flame will double in size. Wait until he reaches the front. The blazing golden-red flames on its body expanded into a giant golden-red human fox with black lines on the ceiling of the sealed space above its head. Chapter 68 Nine Tails. Can I take back what I just said? Just when Fengxu manifested his tailed beast mode, the 9 tails in front finally gathered momentum and fired the tailed beast cannon in its mouth. Roar. The originally black-tailed beast Jade has disappeared. Instead, a terrifying golden rainbow of energy rushed out from 9 tails' bloody mouth. This rainbow was so dazzling that it instantly illuminated the entire dim sealed space like daylight. Wherever it passes, the accumulated water evaporates and pours back, forming a ring-shaped wind pressure in midair. Facing this terrifying blow, Fengxu showed disdain. He just controlled the huge fox body transformed into a tailed beast, and raised his right hand forward with his right palm. See clearly Karema, this is how chakra energy is used. When Fengxu spoke, the golden energy rainbow had already hit the tailed beast's palm. In an instant, the energy expanded rapidly and wanted to explode. It's just that the tailed beast turned chakra's palms are faster. Before the energy was about to explode, the palm of his right hand turned into a huge mouth covering the sky, swallowing it in one bite. At the same time, a large amount of chakra gathered into the giant mouth formed by the palm, and the exploded energy in the package compressed it again. Then the blocked chakra in the palm gave way, opening up a channel connecting the left arm. Guiding the compressed energy wrapped twice, it circled around and came to the palm of the left arm. Then he raised his left arm and pointed his palm towards 9 tails who looked in disbelief in front of him. Call out? Because the Fengxu chakra was wrapped outside, the dark red energy beam roared out at this moment. It carried an even more terrifying power, dyeing the originally illuminated sealed space dark red. The next second, the dark red light beam hit 9 tails' chest steadily. A huge explosion of light appeared instantly. It covers most of 9 tails' body. Compared with 9 tails who can only use quantity to overwhelm people, Fengxu, who has gained a lot of combat experience, directly used an energy counterattack move. Of course, the biggest reason for its success is that the 9 tails chakra on both sides is almost completely similar. Okay, so awesome. Our son was smashed so hard. This scene of energy block and counterattack manipulation only lasts 3 or 4 seconds. But Kushina saw it completely, pulling Minato's clothes and exclaiming in excitement. She doesn't care why Fengxu also has 9 tails chakra. All she cares about is that her child will fly amazingly. Far better than Minato, the good-for-nothing dad who relies on zombies to seal him away. Minato also looked at Fengxu with a complicated expression. There was relief, curiosity, confusion, and uneasiness on his face. Just like 9 tails' explanation just now, he also suspected that the 9 tails chakra in Fengxu's hand belonged to the half in Shinigami's belly. I just don't know why it got into Fengxu's hands, and the chakra attribute is not yin attribute. As for whether Fengxu is the new will born after the death of half of 9 tails, this can be clearly seen from Fengxu's appearance and his connection with the body. As a shadow-level warrior, he wouldn't be able to recognize his own blood relatives. Fengxu ignored Kushina and Minato's shock. Instead, he dodged and landed directly on 9 tails, who was injured and fell to the ground. What are you going to do to me? 9 tails no longer had the arrogance and pride it had just now. His 2 front paws were on the ground, his face full of fear and alertness. Even I didn't call myself I, but changed to I. Do what you wanted to do to me before, of course. Fengxu had a sneer on his face, and countless smart chains suddenly erupted from his body, shooting out. These chains were like spiritual snakes, instantly wrapping around 9 tails' body and tying it firmly to the ground. King Kong blockade. Asshole? Let me go quickly, I admit defeat. The moment they saw King Kong's blockade, 9 tails shouted and gave up. If you use Fengxu's chakra to place the sealing techniques, it will only be stronger than Kushina at her peak. Moreover, the sealing techniques are very tight, just like tying up a crab, it's not comfortable at all. It's not as easy as this 4-image seal at all. You can also give it a separate space to sleep in. Kushina became even more excited when she saw Fengxu using the skywide Vajra blockade. She tugged at Minato's clothes frantically, almost tearing Minato's god robe to pieces. Fengxu actually learned the unique sealing techniques of our Whirlpool clan. It seems that bad old man from 3rd generation is very nice to him. Even ninjutsu sent people to find him. I used to think that he was not a good person, but I wrongly blamed him. I will definitely apologize to him if I have the chance in the future. Watergate. Minato opened his mouth, but he didn't dare to tell the truth. He still had something to ask Fengxu, and he didn't want to be beaten away by Kushina so early. Fengxu ignored Nine-Tails' plea for mercy. He released his tailed beast transformation and stood directly on the forehead of Nine-Tails, who was tied into a crab. Then a hand touched it and began to extract the chakra from Nine-Tails. Damn you kid, are you serious? I tell you, without my approval, these chakras with hatred are intolerable to you. Obviously, Nine-Tails, who was in a hurry, completely forgot that Fengxu also had extreme emotions. As Nine-Tails' chakra entered the body, Fengxu's brows gradually wrinkled. You can use superposition to become stronger, but you cannot fuse them into one. Because the Nine-Tails chakra carries the will of Nine-Tails. The Nine-Tails chakra given to Fengxu by the system was Fengxu's own will. Unless Nine-Tails takes the initiative to erase his will and merge into Fengxu's chakra. Otherwise, we can only rely on similarity to superimpose and borrow. What Fengxu sensed was also clearly perceived by Nine-Tails below. While taking a long breath of relief, he laughed wantonly. Ha ha ha, you brat, there's no way you can swallow me. Let me go quickly, let me be happy, maybe I can lend you some strength. Fengxu narrowed his eyes towards this foul-mouthed fox. Do I need to borrow your power? Originally I thought about using the chakra link of the ninja sect to establish a mutual help communication connection with you, and using shadow clone to let you go out and relax. But you have such a bad mouth and are annoying to me. Should I just kill you? Hearing Fengxu's muttering to himself, Nine-Tails was stunned for a moment, and then laughed so hard that he shed tears. Ha ha ha, do you want to be like the old man from 6 Paths and connect to chakra with me to achieve a common consciousness? You idiot, I am filled with hatred, I am the tailed beast Chak, I am Yang attribute. Nine-Tails' mocking voice became smaller, and he closed his mouth in embarrassment. Then the fox's face, which was originally full of malice, changed at the speed of light, taking on a lucky and flattering apologetic smile. Well, little friend Fengxu, is it still useful if I take back what I said before? Chapter 69 Chakra Link Method. It's not that Nine-Tails has no integrity, it's mainly that Fengxu's proposal is too good. Even the arrogant attributes of the past have been abandoned by it, replaced by full of expectations. Anyone has been sealed for dozens or hundreds of years, and every time he is either tied up and unable to move, or given a place with a bigger butt. It will behave the same as it does. If it can be successfully linked to chakra, it will be the same as what Fengxu said. He can completely attach his will to the shadow clone, and then run out of the seal to have fun outside. You don't have to worry about being captured anymore, you can even hang out in the human world. Thinking of this, the smile on Nine-Tails' fox face became even brighter. Looking at Nine-Tails, who suddenly changed his face and smiled like a husky with dyed red hair, Fengxu curled his lips helplessly. Minato Kushina on the side was also stunned. What is a chakra link? Why did Nine-Tails suddenly become so obsequious? Pulling Minato's god robe again, Kushina asked excitedly and doubtfully. Minato thought for a moment and answered with some uncertainty. I once read this legend in a secret scroll when I was alive. It is said that chakra's original function was to connect people to each other to achieve a common understanding, thus eliminating war and injustice. It's a pity. Kushina understands the rest without having to ask Minato. The goal was not achieved, but because of chakra, the battle became more brutal, class injustice became more solidified, and more lives were lost. Originally, everyone was pretty much the same, but the civilian uprising could reshuffle and redistribute the cards. But after the emergence of ninjas, civilians will always be civilians. But Kushina doesn't care about that. She just stared with starry eyes at Fengxu, who easily subdued Nine-Tails and made Nine-Tails flatter and surrender. My son even knows this, he is truly a genius. So much better than his useless good-for-nothing dad. Watergate. There is no need to praise him and criticize him, it must be said that his genes are good. It's a pity that this character. Thinking in his mind, Minato shook his head and sighed softly. Fortunately, there is another side. Naruto, who has an innocent and kind-hearted personality, can restrain himself, otherwise. Ahead. Fengxu knelt down and patted Nine-Tails' foxy face with a mocking look on his face. Want to take back what I said before? You can. But I still like your unruly behavior before, how about you recover? Upon hearing this, Nine-Tails' face froze, and then immediately turned angry. Finally, he opened his bloody mouth and spat out angrily. Damn handsome kid, I'm not begging you, I'm informing you. Don't be ignorant of praise. Not bad. Fengxu nodded with satisfaction. Then he waved his hand to lift the King Kong blockade and released Nine-Tails, who was bound by Wuhwada. Nine-Tails also immediately turned over and sat in a comfortable position on the ground. Seeing Fengxu release Nine-Tails, Minato and Kushina immediately ran forward, one on the left and the other on the right to protect him. Looking down at the nervous Minato couple, Nine-Tails snorted with disdain. Hey, I am not a human being like you. Without your intrigues, I would not go back on my word. After saying that, it looked at Fengxu seriously. Fengxu brat, are you really planning to link chakra with me? Although I don't know where you know this method from, I want to explain it to you in advance. With this kind of consciousness connection, all your thoughts and secrets will eventually be exposed in my mind. Even so, don't you care? The pride of being the strongest tailed beast made Nine Tails clearly explain the pros and cons of this link chakra. Of course, half of the reason was because it didn't want to be silenced because it knew Fengxu's secret. It doesn't matter. I don't have any secrets worth hiding. But you, don't be frightened by the extreme emotions in my heart. Fengxu shrugged indifferently. With the system helping to hide it, even the master personality with completely interconnected souls cannot break through the defense line. It's just a chakra link. Fengxu wants Nine Tails to see what it senses, and it can see what it senses. Huh, what a joke. I am a gathering of hatred, will you scare me? After being sealed away for so many years, Nine Tails' resentment towards humans has long since reached its peak. Could it be worse than a little kid who has been hating him for more than 10 years? With disdain on his face, Nine Tails lowered his head and spoke. Since you don't mind, let's get started. I've had enough of this cramped and crowded place. The thought of being able to go out right away without being afraid of being caught. Nine Tails unconsciously opened his mouth and smiled. Okay, then you can start linking me. Fengxu extended his fist directly towards Nine Tails. Nine Tails, don't you know how to do this? Nine Tails was shocked, and after talking together for a long time, it was a waste of time. It's okay if you know how. I know that Sage of Six Paths has been linked to you. Fengxu's expression remained calm, without any embarrassment or embarrassment. Awesome, I am convinced that I lost to you. What Nine Tails thinks in its mind is whether you are the thicker one in terms of being thick-skinned, but it doesn't dare to say it out loud. Isn't this a kind of arrogance that doesn't tell the truth? During the conversation, Nine Tails also clenched his paw into a fist and met Fengxu's fist. In an instant, darkness as deep as ink flooded into Nine Tails' heart, making it feel careless. It was a memory of being isolated, excluded, and rejected by the world, which made Nine Tails feel suffocated. Everyone around you is filled with terrible malice and hatred, but the owner of this memory has to face them every day and cannot escape like it, running into the mountains and forests to hide. If he only hated humans in his seal for nearly 100 years, the owner of this memory has been soaking in these honey pots of malice and hatred for more than 10 years. A bunch of bully bastards and beasts. After I regained my consciousness, I should have used the tailed beast jade to completely destroy this damn place. Personal experience is far more direct than watching indifferently. Nine Tails now regrets very much, regretting letting these people survive. Is this a link failure? Is Nine Tails going to go berserk again? Diamond chains appeared around Kushina again. We will fight quickly later, don't let Fengxu's spirit be harmed. Minato on the side also rolled out balls with a serious look on his face to prevent Nine Tails from losing control. After hearing the words of the two people below him, Nine Tails looked over with red and bloodshot eyes. I won't lose control and go berserk. This is not my relative. But that's not necessarily the case for you too, he. With a sarcastic smile on his face, Nine Tails made a fist with his free paw and reached out. Come and feel it, you who sacrificed your lives for these people. Feel the gratitude from them. Chapter 70 Immersive Memories, Kushina collapses. What gratitude? Kushina had a bad feeling in her heart. But remembering Nine Tails' most eloquent words, I asked in confusion. Aren't you a tailed beast? How can you link with our chakra? Hearing this, the smile on Nine Tails' face deepened. It glanced at Fengxu and answered after seeing that he didn't refuse. It's not me connecting with you, but me acting as a bridge to connect you with your happy children. Don't you want to know how happy he has been all these years? Before Kushina could speak, Minato stopped her in front of her. I'll just come, Kushina, just watch from the side and don't let Nine Tails take the opportunity to attack us. Compared to Kushina Chakra who has been sleeping, Minato Chakra woke up as early as 2 months ago after Fengxu exchanged the complete Yang Nine Tails. The powerful Nine Tails Chakra at that time made him think that Nine Tails had broken the seal, so he was ready to stop it. After arriving in the sealed space, Nine Tails was found sleeping, and the seal was intact, and someone had even added another one. After that, he did not continue to sleep to ensure that the chakra would not be lost. Instead, he quietly observed Naruto outside, wanting to know if he was doing well. Then I witnessed Naruto's 2 personalities, and everything that happened after that. So why he didn't try his best to stop Fengxu from taking off the seal before, these are the reasons. Although he is very gentle, he is called Little Sun. But there are also solar storms and sunspots in the sun. Oh, making trouble. So you're trying to fool that idiot Kushina again. Nine Tails has never been a good person. Now he just wants to see the Minato couple in front of him and regret after experiencing that memory. If it hadn't been for the 2 heartless couple who tried their best to stop it and even teleported it away, it had already destroyed the village with one tail beast jade, and then escaped. Minato wanted to say something else, but was stopped by Kushina. When she realized something, she didn't get angry like before. Instead, there was sparkling light in his eyes, and he whispered with a pleading look on his face. Minato, I believe in Fengxu, and I also want to know if he has been unhappy these years, if he has eaten well, if he has close friends, if he has a girlfriend, and why he changed his name. After all, I'm a mother too, so don't stop me, okay? Minato was silent for a moment, then held Kushina's hand tightly and nodded heavily. Okay, let's watch it together. Seeing the fists of the 2 people approaching, Nine Tails' face showed a smile of success. Have you finally made up your mind? then feel the malice of this cruel world. The moment he finished speaking, a large amount of chakra from Fengxu rushed out, like a flood opening a floodgate. In an instant, Minato Kushina was completely submerged. Instead of treating them step by step like 9 tails, they engulfed them whole. In an instant, a picture appeared in front of my eyes, and vicious curses came from all directions. Die, damn monster. Haha, look, the monster without a father or a mother is actually eating garbage. Beat him to death, give him a few more blows, Umbu will come again later. There's nothing here you want, I won't sell it, get out of here. If you pay double the price, I will sell you expired food. This is the only food a monster like you deserves to eat. Mom, Dad, where are you? I'm not a monster, I don't want to be hated. Why do I have no parents? Why am I a monster? Can I really not live well? I am a monster, kill everyone. I am not a monster, I want them to recognize me. Why should I be born? I really want to die. I can't die, I have to live well and let them recognize me. I hate everything here, they all deserve to die, they all need to die. I can't think like this, I must be doing a good job. I have to work hard to make everyone like me and recognize me. Why are you ignoring me? I'm not afraid of scolding anymore, please don't ignore me. Grandpa 3rd generation. Will of Fire. As long as I become Hokage, they will definitely recognize me. Yes, that's it, I want to become the flying firewood of Konoha, I want to become Hokage. Memories are presented for both long and short periods of time. The long one is the endless pain and torture, the short one is that the real time only passes by for a few seconds. Tick-tock. The silence was broken by the sound of water drops falling to the ground. Minato lowered his head, not daring to look into Kushina's eyes. He just felt the pain of his palm being crushed, silently waiting for Kushina's anger to come. But after waiting for a long time, Kushina's anger did not subside. Instead, the sound of dripping water on the side became more and more rapid. No, this is not the sound of dripping water. Minato raised his head suddenly, then turned his head. He saw Kushina standing there as if she had lost her soul, tears pouring down her cheeks like a spring. It was an expression that could not be more sad than the death of one's heart. The child she loved the most and missed the most had always been living a life that was worse than death. Moreover, he had to be brainwashed and indoctrinated, and his spirit even split due to this, giving birth to 2 personalities. Now, Kushina finally knows why Fengxu didn't let her hug her and why she changed her name. Because he hates everything, including her as a mother. Just like those words in my memory. Why was he born? Why was he hated? Why was he bullied? Why didn't he have parents who loved him? Destroy everything. Yes, everything should be destroyed. 9 tails. Kushina suddenly let go of Minato's hand and ran frantically in front of 9 tails. 9 tails, we let you out, you go kill Sarutobi Hiruzen, kill those damn villagers, and destroy the Konoha village that should have been destroyed long ago. 9 tails looked indifferent and glanced at Fengxu, who was still motionless. He didn't move either, just looking at Kushina like crazy without any emotion. Kushina, calm down. Minato quickly stepped forward and grabbed Kushina, his face full of complexity and sadness. Maybe the 3rd generation has some difficulties, just to protect Naruto from other villages. Shut up. Kushina's hair was disheveled, her face was like a ghost, and her roar was broken. Namikaze Minato. This is your good ancestor? The good village you protect? The will of fire you insist on? The bullshit 4th Hokage you are. Giving up your life, what you get in the end is that your only bloodline is treated like this. Don't say you have any hard reasons? Why is Sarutobi Hiruzen's own grandson so healthy and energetic, and why is he protected by someone special? Why didn't the property we left behind go to my sons, so they have to pay for a bowl of ramen on credit? Why didn't any of your disciples, your teachers, and the ninjas who received your favor come to help my son and allowed him to be bullied? Tell me, why? Chapter 71 I am the main personality? Kushina's series of life-threatening questions finally broke Minato's defense. His expression was gloomy, his eyes were dull, and he was in a daze. Yes, why is this, Jiraiya-sensei, Kakashi? Why can you watch my child go hungry, watch him dig through the garbage to eat, and let him be cursed? 3rd Hokage, didn't you say that you would sacrifice yourself to illuminate future generations? Aren't my descendants considered the young shoots of Konoha? What on earth have I protected? As he asked himself, Minato's figure began to blur. The chakra that made up the body began to disappear rapidly inexplicably. Using death to evade responsibility, you are so cowardly that it makes me feel sick. As the sound rang out, Fengxu appeared in front of the 2 of them. He stretched out his hand and pressed it on Minato's chest, and the pure yang attribute chakra was input into Minato's body. The body that had gradually dissipated and become illusory also quickly solidified. No, that's not the case. I just lost my mind for a moment. Hearing Fengxu say that he hated himself, Minato explained repeatedly. Then he looked at Fengxu blankly, regret appearing on his face. Actually, I was wrong from the beginning. I shouldn't have left you with such a heavy burden. I expected you to be the children of the prophecy and asked you to deal with the masked man. Forcing expectations that I have not fulfilled on the next generation, and the next generation without parents, I am really a derelict father. I'm really sorry. If you want to blame it entirely on me. This is all my own decision and has nothing to do with your mother. Minato's monologue and self-blame also awakened Kushina, who was affected by the painful memory. She understands that it is useless to blame each other or regret now. The main thing is what Fengxu plans to do and how they want to make up for it. Thinking like this, Kushina held Minato's hand again. The other hand wanted to hold Fengxu, but stopped in midair. Minato, it's not just you, I was also wrong. We were all wrong because we were stupid and believed Sarutobi Hiruzen's lies. He clearly said that he would treat our child as a hero of the village and give him treatment like a hero. In the end, it was just tricking us. Now I also understand. Ever since you became the 4th Hokage, you have been a puppet in the hands of Hiruzen Sarutobi. He retreated behind the scenes and firmly controlled Umbu, while you only had a few personal guards. You have to report to him and get his approval before you even do anything. At that time, I thought he was worried about your youth and that you would make mistakes. Now it seems that he is just unwilling to give up power and a powerful and easy-to-use puppet. And after we died, he treated our child the same way he treated you, treating him as the next useful puppet. In fact, Kushina didn't need to say it, Minato had already noticed it. But because he has been brainwashed by the will of fire for a long time, he has been pretending to be stupid and has expectations for Sarutobi Hiruzen. But in the end it was obvious that he who pretended to be a fool turned out to be a real fool. Nine Tails, who had been sealed in Kushina's body before, also knew very well what happened when Minato was a Hokage. Suddenly the people on the side gloated. I guessed at that time that you would be killed by the 3rd Hokage. After all, one is stupid, and the other is brainwashed by that will of fire. Shut up. Being mocked by Nine Tails, Kushina angrily grabbed Minato's ear. Minato's expression also twisted in pain. But she didn't dare to scream or resist, and let Kushina vent her anger. It wasn't until he felt the pressure on his ears loosening that he immediately spoke again and changed the subject. Fengxu, is there anything we need to do next? Don't worry, the Nage Dame who lived for the village has died, and now only one father named Namikaze Minato is left. Me too. Kushina immediately agreed. Even if you ask me to help you destroy the Leaf Village, I will never blink an eye. After experiencing the darkest and suffocating life, I no longer have a good impression of the village Kushina. But this is also a normal human reaction. Rather than being abnormal like Naruto who was affected by Azura Chakra, I do need you to do something, but not now. You just need to listen to my arrangements. Fengxu planned to send the two of them to 4-Star Village to prepare for future revenge against Konoha Village. Of course, this revenge is never a simple killing. Death is easy and relaxing, but life is not as easy as death. Only by making life in Konoha Village worse than death can the painful memories of more than 10 years be alleviated. I understand. Minato nodded, then remembered something and asked aloud. Who is the main personality between you and Naruto? What do you mean by what you said to Nine Tails before? Kushina on the side also had an inquiring look on her face, raising her ears and waiting for Fengxu's answer. Zhaiki's words are literal, and I am the main character. Fengxu's face was neither red nor out of breath, and he looked as if something was happening. Nine Tails on the side also smashed his mouth and sent in assists. With Fengxu's terrifying talent, he has indeed perfectly inherited the master personalities of the two of you. The guy outside, to be honest, if his personality wasn't a bit like yours, he would really look like a fake. Minato nodded and asked thoughtfully, since you are the master personality, why can't you control your body and why are you restricted? Because I gave my body away when I was a child, then hid myself and carried all the pain. Fengxu had already prepared his words, which he was going to use on Naruto in the future. You have experienced those memories, and you should know very well how much I hated those people when I was a child. But I can't help it no matter how much I hate you. Coupled with the reasons for the village, this hatred is very detrimental to my survival. So I took the initiative to give birth to a silly and innocent personality, and asked him to paralyze people like the 3rd generation and Danzo. And I endured all the pain alone, keeping a low profile until I was able to protect this body. After hearing Fengxu's calm words, Minato Kushina was silent for a while. It is indeed the same as Fengxu said, if it weren't for Naruto's optimistic and kind character. Maybe 3rd generation won't just rely on the will of fire to brainwash people, and there may be other restrictions. Then can you call Naruto in from outside and tell him everything? Anyway, with your current strength, there is no need to be afraid of the 3rd generation and Danzo. Regardless of whether it is the main personality or the sub-personality, they are ultimately the children of two people. Especially Kushina, even if she can't hug Fengxu, it would be nice to be able to hug Naruto. It's not the time yet. Besides, there is something special about Naruto that affects his character. I'm trying to figure it out. You don't need to worry about this. Just kidding. Fengxu certainly wouldn't bring Naruto in. Then open 3 big plugins for him so that he does not rely on himself. Even if you want to know, you have to wait until the trust and dependence value reaches 80% and he becomes the master. Suddenly, Kushina, who focused her attention outside, exclaimed. Naruto is actually with that big pervert Jiraiya. And Jiraiya, the big pervert, seems to have been seriously injured and is now unconscious. Chapter 72 Nine Tails, I am a motor. Kushina's exclamation made Minato and Nine Tails focus their attention outside. At a glance, he saw Jiraiya covered in blood and half dead. Nine Tails couldn't help laughing immediately. Ha ha ha, it must have been my escaped chakra that injured him. The weak are really weak. Jiraiya-sensei. Looking at Jiraiya who was seriously injured and unconscious outside, Minato was also confused and worried. After hesitating for a moment, he finally spoke to Fengxu. Fengxu, can you go out and help Mr. Jiraiya heal his injuries? After all, he was injured in order to teach Naruto, we shouldn't ignore him. Although he had some complaints about Jiraiya not taking care of his offspring. But Minato knew very well that the third generation was obstructing and deceiving him. Jiraiya, who is as stupid as himself, may not know how Naruto is doing. Fengxu glanced at him and didn't answer. Instead, he turned his head and looked at Nine Tails. Then he quickly formed seal points in his hand, and a shadow clone stood crookedly on the spot. Since I promised you that you can temporarily get rid of this prison and go out to relax, I will not break my promise. You link your consciousness to the chakra of this shadow clone, and then I will send this shadow clone out. You can do whatever you want when the time comes, and I won't interfere. He lowered his head and looked at this shadow clone, which basically had no Fengxu will and was not even considered to have combat power. Nine Tails' face was full of excitement and he couldn't help but stick out his tongue and start breathing. It's actually a shadow clone that I can completely control. I thought you were using shadow clone to take me out for a walk, but I didn't expect. Halfway through, Nine Tails seemed to feel that he was too eager. Acting like a pug, something is wrong. So he immediately retracted his tongue and smile. He returned to his original aloof appearance. Humph, it's really hard for you. I specially separated out this shadow clone. I really saw the right person this time. While speaking, Nine Tails used his claws to firmly protect the seemingly imbecile shadow clone. He was as careful as protecting some treasure. Don't worry, I will unite the front with you from now on. If you want to borrow my power, I can lend it all to you. Since they can't devour each other, Nine Tails isn't worried. On the contrary, because their chakra is almost the same, they also have extremely negative emotions. It makes it feel less lonely than before, as if it has found a companion. Thinking like this, Nine Tails secretly glanced at Fengxu. It's a pity that Fengxu didn't feel this way, and the indifference on his face made Nine Tails curl his lips involuntarily. Seeing Nine Tails' little move, Fengxu seemed to have thought of something and opened his mouth to warn. Remember to change your appearance and don't hang around in my face, otherwise the consequences will not be acceptable to you. Shadow clone is useless for this bullshit. If it weren't for Naruto's experience in using the clone technique to summon this mentally retarded clone, he really can't figure it out. In a sense, Naruto is actually very talented. But this talent is not in the serious ninjutsu. I don't bother to use your handsome face. If you want to use it, you must use Yang to take care of your sister. After being warned by Fengxu, Nine Tails was very dissatisfied, as if labor and management were going to become your father. Okay. Minato on the side had not yet spoken. Kushina immediately patted Nine Tails' thigh and shouted with a very supportive look. Become Minato and then beat up Hiruzen Sarutobi. By the way, Danzo and his maggots can't be spared either. Watergate. It's the root. Forget it, it doesn't matter if you become me, as long as it doesn't affect Fengxu's plan. Minato has completely figured it out and no longer stands with the village. Besides, the chakra he left behind was originally used to help his children. I'm just talking, but you really dare to put gold on your face, how shameless. Although it unites the front with Fengxu, it really doesn't like Minato and Kushina. Including the cowardly Naruto outside, it was also very indifferent. Therefore, he speaks in an extremely vicious manner without giving any face. While talking to the two of them, Nine Tails had already covered the shadow clone with a large amount of chakra. After a while, shadow clone turned into a man with a spiky head and long black hair, wearing black inner armor, red shoulder pads and a chest protector, and looking arrogantly at everything. Fengxu. The corner of Fengxu's mouth twitched when he saw Nine Tails' transformed appearance. What the hell? Uchiha Madara. The voice was only in my heart and was not spoken out. Nine Tails on the other side was very satisfied, with a wicked look on his face. He didn't dare to really turn into Minato, because he was afraid that Fengxu would find an opportunity to beat him because of turning into his father. It doesn't want to become the Six Paths old man, because the old man is very good to it. After thinking about it, I became the most annoying Uchiha Madara. For no other reason than that, it just wants to go out and perform a 3-mouth and 1-cup performance for everyone. This expression is so cool, it feels just like my eldest son. Kushina also saw the Madara transformed by Nine Tails and commented in a low voice. As for the kid, of course it's Naruto from outside. Minato didn't feel anything, after all, he had never met Madara. Okay, let's do that. If you become Madara, just become Madara. No one will know you anyway. It doesn't matter if you know him, you can't find him even if you look for him. After saying this, Fengxu disappeared directly and appeared in the consciousness space. At the same time, personality switching is directly enabled. Outside, Naruto was holding Jiraiya, who had a big gaping hole in his stomach, howling loudly at a loss. Pervy sage, don't die. This is none of my business. It's all your fault to break the 5 elements seal. A few minutes ago, Jiraiya said that the reason why he couldn't use the power of Nine Tails was because there was an extra seal on his abdomen. Just when Jiraiya helped him remove the seal, a terrifying beam of light suddenly blasted out from his abdomen. In one fell swoop, Jiraiya, who had not reacted, was hit and flew several hundred meters away, and then it became like this. You can't blackmail me like this, pervy sage. As soon as Naruto finished howling and was about to howl the next sentence, he found himself back in the consciousness space. At the same time, Fengxu's voice also sounded. Stop howling and let me use your body. Fengxu, how could you take the initiative again? Am I not the main character? With that said, Naruto planned to take his body back. Fengxu, who felt the suction, frowned and scolded angrily. If you want him to die, just grab it. It can also be used to make you a weakling eat meat. Chapter 73 Ninetales Madara, Minato's couple leaving. After hearing Fengxu's words, Naruto immediately became honest. There was no need to seize control of the body again, lest it really lead to the death of Jiraiya in front of him. But he soon realized the meaning of Fengxu's words. Somewhat disbelievingly shouted in consciousness. Fengxu, are you going to save people? Oh my god, this is the first time that you didn't come out to kill people, but you also took the initiative to save people. Before Fengxu could reply, Naruto showed an embarrassing expression that made him cry with joy. Woo woo woo, I knew I would be able to successfully lead you onto the path of integrity and kindness. That's great. Fengxu, it's great that you can change your ways. From now on, each of us will use our bodies half the time, and I will never restrict you again. Woo woo woo. Fengxu. Fengxu's forehead was throbbing with veins, and the anger was rising under pressure. In consciousness, Kushina also twitched the corner of her mouth, couldn't help but grabbed Minato's god robe and asked, "Is this our kid Smash? Why does he look so silly and cute, so different from his brother?" Before Minato could speak, Ninetales on the side intervened first. "Humph, how can this kid be cute? He's obviously just stupid. On the battlefield, you sympathize with the enemy, but afterwards you blame your teammates for being too harsh, and you are deceived and fooled without even realizing it. If my child is like this, I will be the first to strangle him to death." Although Ninetales sleeps most of the time, but every time Fengxu came out to fight, it paid special attention to it. Naturally, he knew Naruto's irritating personality. It's suspected that sooner or later, this personality named Naruto would be destroyed by Fengxu. "You're the one who's going to be strangled to death. I will use the King Kong blockade to strangle you to death right away." Hearing his own child being spoken ill of by Ninetales, Kushina was immediately so angry that her red hair flew up and chains sprouted from her body. Minato on the side quickly stepped forward to start a fight, fearing that one person and one fox would really fight. "Kushina, calm down. Naruto represents the gentlest, most innocent and kind side. The beauty of human nature cannot be understood by a vicious aggregation of hatred like Ninetales. A vicious gathering of hatred like me doesn't understand." Ninetales sneered. "So what you're saying is that Fengxu doesn't understand the beauty of human nature and is a vicious monster." "I didn't mean that." Minato frowned, realizing for the first time that this stinking fox had such a poisonous mouth. "Then what do you mean?" This time it was not Ninetales who asked, but Kushina who asked angrily. After asking, he grabbed Minato's hair and grabbed Minato's ears. "No one can speak to her children, not Ninetales, not Minato." When the strict control of wives was being staged in the sealed space, Fengxu also started to stir outside. He didn't care about Jiraiya who was bleeding on the ground, but quickly formed ninja seals with his hands. With a bang sound, a shadow clone with Madara's appearance and Ninetales' vertical pupils appeared in front. As soon as she appeared, Ninetales Madara, the shadow clone controlled by Ninetales was later called this, took a deep breath of air. "Sucka the sweet breath of reality. Breathe in the sweet air that smells like blood." Ninetales Madara felt nostalgic again, and ran to the grass and river like a gorilla on all fours. "This sky, this water, this soft grass, and this mountain with a big hole. I finally have this feeling of freedom again." He looked at Ninetales' antics and thought he was in the body of a beast. Fengxu and Minato Kushina in the sealed space were silent. Especially Kushina, she was no longer angry immediately. With a look of pitiful retardation, he shook his head and patted Ninetales' heels. Naruto in his consciousness was also stunned, feeling that his CPU was short-circuit. Suddenly a guy who looks awesome suddenly appears, but turns out to act like an ape. There are also those incomprehensible words, maybe he is not a lunatic, right? Thinking of this, Naruto shuddered and kept urging him in his mind. "Fengxu, let's take Pervy Sage for treatment quickly, don't mess with this lunatic. I've heard that it's not against village rules for a lunatic to kill someone." Ninetales' main body finally realized something was wrong due to Kushina's eyes and the clone's funny movements. He immediately controlled Shadow Clone and stood up as if nothing had happened. He also imitated the expressions and movements of Madara in his memory, folding his hands in front of his chest, looking scornful of everything. "Humph, what are you looking at? Do you want to dance too? Wow, he's so cool." Naruto in his consciousness exclaimed in envy. Fengxu's forehead twitched and he ignored the Shadow Clone. At the same time, he stretched out his right hand filled with chakra, held his claw in the air, printed it on the seal on his abdomen, and gave it a final twist. In an instant, the ink-like black liquid slid down, and the 8-sign seal on the abdomen was untied. A huge amount of blood-red Ninetales chakra spurted out, covering Fengxu's entire body, and blood-red tails sprouted quickly. However, the blood-red only lasted for a second, and then it turned back into a golden-red coat. Looking at this scene, Ninetales Madara laughed in approval. "Ha ha ha, you are indeed the person I like. You didn't even need me to take the initiative to separate, you swallowed up all the hatred so easily. It's just a jelly bean-like emotion. This hatred is far from enough." Fengxu sneered expressionlessly. It was just the vertical pupils in his eyes that were dark red like blood clots. Said it was not as easy as he said. Phew. While talking, Minato and Kushina were already pulled out by the golden and red chakra giant hands. Immediately afterwards, a Fengxu shadow clone emerged and appeared directly next to the two couples. Before the two of them could say anything, shadow clone took them and disappeared. Forget it, you can follow along. Looking at Nine Tails Madara, who is still in the same slump, Fengxu created another shadow clone and took him away. He took Bai Nafang, who had the mark of the flying thunder god, with him. After everyone had left, Naruto finally realized what was going on. No, who are they? Where did you take them? And those two people who showed up at the end, why do I feel like my heart keeps beating? Fengxu, don't ignore me, or I will get angry. Fengxu had long been accustomed to Naruto's shouting and ignored it. Instead, he glanced at the broken mountains in the distance, then looked down at Jiraiya, who was bleeding too much and turned pale, and said to himself, the mountain tops have been blown down, haven't the people from Konoha come yet? Forget it, even if you die, you are unlucky. After shaking his head, Fengxu directly returned the control of his body. When Naruto came out again, he was completely crazy at this moment. Fengxu, you lied to me again? Didn't you tell me to cure Pervy Sage? And who are the three people who walked away just now? Speak quickly, don't pretend to be dead for me again. Ah. Chapter 74 Orochimaru, who covets white. Naruto didn't have to wait long to jump on the spot and get angry. The belated arrival of the elephant brought a large number of Hokage directly under Umbu, as well as a medical team. After coming over, he and Yamato who came over were relieved to say that Naruto did not go berserk and transform into Nine Tails. Then someone gave Jiraiya emergency treatment and then lifted him up and carried him away. Xiang stayed and comforted Naruto. He said that when Jiraiya gets better, he will come back and continue to teach him. Let him go and have something to eat first so that he can prepare for the exam in the afternoon. Naruto didn't pay much attention to what Xiang said. He was just calling Fengxu crazily in his heart, asking for an explanation. After all, Jiraiya's two attacks were too low. Either he was seriously injured by Fengxu, or he was beaten half to death by the seal. You can also turn him and Sasuke into toads and bully young boys like them? To be honest, Naruto now seriously doubts Jiraiya's strength. I also suspect that those glorious achievements Umbu mentioned before are all fake. I even think that Jiraiya might not be as powerful as Kakashi or Asuma. After calling Fengxu for a long time without success, Naruto left here angrily. Since he didn't have much time, he went to Ichiraku Ramen for lunch and had a simple bowl of luxurious ramen. After finishing the meal, the time quickly came to the afternoon. Naruto also quickly arrived at the examination room for this second exam. Forest of Death. At this moment, many candidates have gathered here. They were gathered in twos and threes. After Naruto searched around for a while, he saw Sasuke and Sakura standing in the crowd. Sasuke? Sakura? Here. While waving to the two of them, Naruto ran over happily. Just as he passed by, he saw Shiro talking to Sasuke, and Xianglin standing behind Shiro. Seeing Bai's delicate face, Naruto's face suddenly turned red. Although he knew Shiro was a boy, Naruto just couldn't stop his thoughts. After all, Bai's image is so similar to what he imagined as the beautiful senior sister in young Aiming. Naruto. Seeing Naruto's arrival, Sakura's face lit up with joy. Thank God you are finally here, otherwise the exam would have started. How's it going? Did that lecherous uncle teach you anything at noon? Oh, forget it, I feel like I was cheated. Naruto spread his hands, sighed and shook his head. He said he wanted to remove some extra seals for me, and then he was beaten to death by the seal. After explaining a few words to Sakura, he immediately turned to look at Shiro and Sasuke with curiosity on his face. Sasuke, what are you two talking about? Sasuke's attitude was unusually cold and he just glanced at Naruto indifferently. As for Shiro, it was Kaido with a bright smile. Nothing, I just want to invite Sasuke-kun to our place as a guest. After saying that, Shiro blinked at Sasuke again. If you are willing, you can come to us later. Our commitment is valid until the end of the exam. After saying that, he smiled sweetly at Naruto again, then turned and left. What a promise, be careful. Just as Naruto was about to step forward and stop Bai for questioning, he noticed that someone suddenly appeared behind Bai. Bai's reaction speed was faster. When he turned around, he saw someone suddenly sticking up behind him. Then he slipped out 4,000 needles from his cuffs and pierced the figure's acupuncture points directly. Whoosh, hiss, the 1,000 bone needles that were originally pierced were dodged by the figure in an extremely weird twisted posture. Being able to make movements that exceed human limits is like a soft-bodied creature without bones. Seeing that Bai was able to dodge his attack so quickly, he knew that the person coming was definitely not Genin, so he no longer held back. He turned his wrist violently and threw the 1,000 bone needles between his fingers at close range. Whoosh, whoosh, the 4,000 needles made a harsh sound as they penetrated the air at an extremely fast speed, and all of them sank into the man's chest. But the next second, he saw that the man's body was irregularly twisted again, even longer, and he quickly reached his head to Bai's ear. I'm really sorry. I didn't mean any harm. It's just that the silver was blown behind you by the wind. I want to pick it up. As the sound sounded, a tongue with saliva stuck out to Bai's eyes. This tongue is like a snake's tongue, with a bifurcated shape. On one half are 4,000 needles, and on the other half is a 200-tael silver note. What a long tongue. Seeing the tongue clearly, Naruto immediately exclaimed. Sakura on the side also added, and it can also split, it's really disgusting. Fengxu in his consciousness also focused on the past. He immediately recognized the person wearing the Kusanagi hat. Orochimaru killed the examinee who was a grass ninja, and disguised his appearance to take the exam to get close to Shizuke. But what does it mean that he came into contact with Bai? Did he fall in love with Bai's body? As for Orochimaru, Fengxu is willing to cooperate with him and target Konoha together. It's a pity that Orochimaru has too many tricks and he can't control him well. If one person is not good, it is easy to be bitten by him. In addition, he was not prepared to let Hiruzen Sarutobi die in a heroic manner like in the original plot. So Orochimaru is destined to face him in this Chunin exam. But the confrontation would only be when Hiruzen Sarutobi was seriously injured and on the verge of death. For other things, such as attacking Konoha village, causing destruction, or causing chaos, he has to help Orochimaru. Of course, this was also the reason why he arranged for Haiden, a murderer, to lead the team. It's too close to pick up money. I won't show mercy next time. Shiro frowned and stopped completing the ninjutsu. A slight chill enveloped the two of them, causing Orochimaru's long hair to become covered with ice. I understand, I'm really sorry. Orochimaru apologized with a sinister smile, then turned back to where he was standing before. But there was unstoppable joy in his heart. I am really lucky with the Snow Clan's ice escape. And there is no pain, a strong physique, and excellent talents. He is completely more suitable as a body than Kimimaro. If we can't get Shizuke this time, the Snow Clan from 4-star village can be used as a transitional one. And there is also the little girl from the Whirlpool clan next to him. This 4-star village is really good. Orochimaru doesn't care at all about the newly established 4-star village. It's just a small village that doesn't even have cage-level combat power, or even elite jonin. Just like before, when the time comes, use any means to force you. This 4-star village didn't clean the Snow Clan and the Whirlpool honestly and then send them to him. Chapter 75. The exam begins. This little episode passed quickly. The examiner for the second session, Mitarashi Anko, soon appeared in front of the barbed wire fence in front. And they carried out regular beatings and threats to the candidates. Because Naruto was still thinking about the long tongue just now, he didn't yell at Anko like in the original work. After that, there was no scene where Anko was held in her arms and her face was licked. Orochimaru was also thinking about Shiro and Kaoru's relationship. Like the original plot, he didn't deliberately come forward to say hello to Hongdo, a former disciple. With nothing going on, Hongdo quickly began to explain the rules of this exam. This exam was also conducted in a team of 3. Before the exam begins, each team will be given a scroll of heaven or earth. If you want to pass the assessment, you must fight with each other to collect a pair of scrolls of heaven and earth. You must also hold the pair of earth coiling axes and reach the high tower in the center of the examination room within 5 days. At the same time, the 3 members of the team must remain intact, and no one can die. Finally, all 3 members of the team were required to sign a death consent form. After signing, you can come forward to receive a scroll. Then choose one of the 22 entrances to enter and start this survival assessment. After explaining all the rules, Hongdo pointed to the temporary tent set up behind him. Then start exchanging the scroll now. 3 consent forms are exchanged for 1, and you can choose the entrance by yourself, and when the time is up, everyone will enter together. By the way, I want to give you some advice before that. Anko, who originally looked quite serious, licked her lips like a middle school girl, with a bloodthirsty smile on her face. Hehehe, don't die within these 5 days, otherwise the body will be eaten by wild beasts. Start getting the scrolls. The examiner behind Hongdo walked out of the temporary tent and interrupted her second-grade speech. The character of the crazy beautiful girl is not popular in the ninja world. Hearing the instructor's shout from behind, all the candidates immediately left Hongdo behind and gathered around. Anko frowned and spat on the ground. Then he took out his kunao and played with it and followed him. After all the consent forms were signed, they received their respective scrolls. Anko stood in front again, looked at the time on her watch, and shouted loudly, "Everyone, follow the person in charge of the entrance and go to the corresponding entrance to wait. In 30 minutes, let's enter the examination room in the forest together. The battle has begun from this moment." Classes 7, 78, and 10 are in the same class. At this moment, they all came together in unison and occupied an entrance. Orochimaru, disguised as a grass ninja, was observing Shizuke and Naruto, occupying the entrance immediately to the right. Occupying this entrance with him were the Rain Shinobi trio and the Sound Ninja trio who were also eyeing the 9 younger people. Bai took Xianglin and an ordinary 4-star village ninja to occupy the entrance on the left. Haiden is leading Jonin. He did not take part in the exam and has other tasks. While driving away others with icy coldness and murderous aura, he also waved towards Naruto with a smile on his face. Seeing Shiro waving and smiling, Naruto's face suddenly turned red again. Then he shook his head hard to get that pretty face out of his mind, turned to Shizuke and Sakura and said, "It's finally our turn to show off our power. After 2 months of hard work, we must defeat them all today." Although Shizuke still didn't give Naruto a good look, but they were also eager to look at Rain Shinobi and Sound Ninja on their side. I just happen to be in a bad mood today. If you mess with me, kill them all." Sakura rubbed her clothes nervously and kept cheering herself up. "I have learned medical ninjutsu and genjutsu, and Shizuke and Naruto have also mastered A-level ninjutsu. I have completed 2 B-level missions and more than a dozen C-level missions before, so just treat it as a B-level mission this time. It will definitely pass smoothly, no problem. Even if there are problems, Fengxu is still there. Thinking of the invincible wind in Naruto's body, Sakura's confidence suddenly increased. His body involuntarily moved closer to Naruto. I smelled the girlish fragrance of Sakura who came closer. Naruto was also excited, patting his chest and echoing. That's right. If we encounter a danger that we can't handle, Fengxu can solve it in one go. There is no problem at all in this exam. Regarding Fengxu's killing of the enemy, Naruto is no longer entangled and obsessed with it. Before he had the strength, he could only restrain himself from killing people when he took action. As for Fengxu, who can't be controlled, as long as he doesn't kill innocent people or brutally kill them, that's fine. On the side, Class 8 and Class 10 also gathered together to discuss strategies. Only Hinata, who was absent-minded, kept secretly glancing at Naruto who was smiling. 30 minutes flew by. Hongdo also used the intercom to give orders to the examiners at each entrance. The second round of Chunin exam selection begins now. Let's go. The moment the door opened, everyone jumped in quickly. As soon as they entered the forest, the three classes tacitly chose 3 different directions to go away. But they left not long ago. Orochimaru, Sound Ninja, and Rain Shinobi, who were originally at the other exit, came to the entrance here. Among them, the 3 members of Rain Shinobi looked at each other. Then they arrogantly divided into 3 people and chased them to 3 places. The 3 grass ninjas disguised as Orochimaru gave the 3 sound ninjas a look and then chased in the direction where Naruto left. A shrill scream cut through the dark forest, causing Nezu Sakura and the other 2 people to stop as they were traveling at high speed. Someone has already started fighting. Naruto looked around curiously. Sakura pulled out the kunai from the side of her leg, feeling nervous and worried. The sound shouldn't be too far away, it seems to be coming from the direction of Hinata and the others. Don't worry about them, it should be the screams of the enemies who fell into the trap. Sasuke analyzed calmly, Hinata's Byakugan, Fang, and his ninja dog's sense of smell, plus the secret technique of the Abarame clan, the insect. They must have noticed the enemies following them, so they set up poisonous insect traps and let them fall in. Since Shino's name didn't come to mind, Sasuke directly called him the Abarame clan. You can analyze it so clearly just by hearing a scream. Sasuke is really amazing. After hearing such a well-founded analysis, Sakura looked over decisively with admiring eyes. It's not necessarily right. What if Shikamaru and the others kill the enemy? Naruto was very unconvinced. He hadn't even started pretending yet. How could he let Sasuke start pretending first? The secret skills of the 3 of them will not make the enemy scream for such a long time, idiot. Sasuke gave Naruto a cold look. I don't understand how Jiraiya, the legendary Sannin, could fall in love with such a fool. You. Naruto was about to yell back. Suddenly, out of the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of a head that quickly retracted in the distance. Naruto, who was anxious to express himself, rolled his eyes, then covered his stomach and pretended to be anxious. I'm going to the toilet, please wait for me. After speaking, he ran directly in the direction of the head without waiting for the 2 to reply. Chapter 76 Naruto wins his first battle. Among the trees, Rain Shinobi showed a sinister smile as he looked at Naruto running this way. As expected, he is a stupid newcomer who is eager to express himself. He only took the bait after a little temptation. I'll accept your scroll with a smile, he. When Naruto was about to arrive here, Yugakur formed a seal in his hand. After a bang, it turned into a big stone. No one. Naruto looked confused as he cleared away the grass. But his eyes were excitedly looking at the big stone that was out of place. Then he said to himself, forget it, I must have made a mistake. I'd better continue going to the toilet. As he spoke, Naruto took off his pants very quickly and hissed at the big stone. Wow, the light yellow water soon splashed all over the rocks. The stone also trembled suddenly, and then quickly returned to its original state. However, a minute passed. Rain Shinobi, disguised as a stone, found that the stinky urine on his head was still as abundant as before. He really couldn't bear it anymore. Although he couldn't make a sneak attack from behind, but with the trap set up, he was still 90% sure. Thinking of this, Rain Shinobi no longer hides, and directly transforms back into his true form with a bang and leaps high. At the same time, he pulled the thread connecting the surrounding trees with his hand and threw several kunai towards Naruto. Whoosh! Damn dirty little kid, go to hell. But Rain Shinobi's smile quickly froze on his face. The shurikens he had prepared long ago and the kunai he threw were all blocked. The surrounding jungle was surrounded by Naruto who was eager to fight. And where he was standing just now, there were several Narutos taking off their pants and grinning evilly. Shadow clone. Rain Shinobi immediately understood why there was so much urine. At the same time, he also exclaimed in disbelief at the shadow clone all over the mountains and plains. How come there are so many? Damn it, people in Konoha call this a new graduate. There are so many shadow clone, he even believes it is Jonin. I am Konoha's genius, Uzumaki Naruto. If Naruto had a tail, it would have been raised to the sky by now. Hurry up and hand over the scroll, or I will beat you up. Shadow clones all over the mountains and plains gave out evil smiles, and quickly formed ninja seals on their hands. I surrender? Come out quickly and I will give the scroll to you. Rain Shinobi, who was about to pee, immediately surrendered. At the same time, his right hand touched his chest, as if he was about to hand in the scroll. Naruto's smiling face turned into a chrysanthemum, ready to come out of the shadow clone. He could fully imagine how much Sakura would admire him after seizing the scroll by herself. You idiot, he lied to you, let Shadow Clone go over. Naruto's innocent movements made Fengxu feel a little angina in his consciousness. If it weren't for Rain Shinobi's exclamation just now, Naruto would have felt like he was faking it and gained some blackening points. He really didn't want to take care of it, he just wanted to take over the body when he was in danger. Upon hearing Fengxu's words, Naruto's movements froze. Then he immediately let a shadow clone next to him jump out. Sure enough, when the shadow clone approached, the Rain Shinobi looked fierce. He reached out and placed all 3 detonating charms in his arms on the approaching shadow clone. You innocent little brat, go to hell. Boom! The violent explosion stirred up clouds of smoke and dust. Rain Shinobi did not stop to check the results, but turned around and ran away. He knew very well that making such a noise would definitely attract Sasuke and Sakura on the other side. Wind escape great breakthrough, XN. It's just that he just ran out of the smoke. I saw that none of the shadow clone, which was supposed to turn into chakra and flow back due to serious injury or death, actually disappeared. Not only can you use ninjutsu on him, but every ninjutsu is released? Impossible, what kind of monster are you? The only answer to Rain Shinobi is the huge tornado that gathered countless tornadoes. In an instant, the Rain Shinobi, together with the surrounding trees and stones within more than 10 meters, were swept up into the sky. Then, along with the rain of stones, dust, and trees, they fell heavily on the ground. He broke his arm on the spot, vomited blood all over his chest, and sat unconscious on the ground. To actually let so many shadow clone release the great breakthrough, the amount of chakra Naruto has is really shocking and terrifying. Orochimaru, who was hiding aside and peeping, couldn't help but be a little surprised. Outside the examination room on the other side, Anko was sitting at the door eating 3-color meatballs. Looking at the huge tornado rising in the forest, his face was full of disbelief. How is it possible? There is someone in Genin who can master this level of wind escape. With such a large scope, we must have mastered morphological changes or property changes. Not only Hongdo was shocked, but other invigilators also had surprised faces. Neither of them could have imagined that this was the result of a person with an extremely abnormal amount of chakra who had accumulated more than a dozen sea-level ninjutsu. It just looks very powerful, but in fact it can't even kill a person. Oops, it seems like you've gone too far. Naruto, who was slightly panting, also saw this terrifying tornado. He quickly released the shadow clone and ran to the place where Rain Shinobi fell. After seeing that Rain Shinobi only had a broken arm and was sitting on the ground and passed out, he breathed a sigh of relief. After all, it's just an exam, and it would be bad if someone died. In the distance, Sakura and Sasuke, who heard such a big noise, also hurried over. Naruto, are you okay? Where is the enemy? Have they been dealt with? Naruto quickly took out the rope and tied up Rain Shinobi, then smiled proudly at the two of them. Ho ho ho, I have taken the lead in taking down an enemy and captured him alive. Get the scroll from him, and then we can concentrate on our journey. Seeing Rain Shinobi covered in blood and tied up, Sasuke and Sakura breathed a sigh of relief. But seeing Naruto so proud, Sasuke couldn't help but snorted. I'm just a genin from a small village. I can kill a group of people casually, so there's nothing to be proud of. You'd better be careful, maybe his teammates are hiding aside, waiting for an opportunity to sneak attack on us. Hearing what Sasuke said, Sakura quickly took out her weapon and stood on guard. Hey, if you see how powerful I am, you must have run away a long time ago, Naruto muttered unconvincedly. Then he squatted down and started searching for the scroll from Rain Shinobi. Unfortunately, after searching for a long time, nothing was found. He stood up and spread his hands towards the two people who were on guard. No scroll was found. It should be on his escaped teammates. As soon as Naruto finished speaking, Sasuke pulled Sakura away and backed away. At the same time, he shouted harshly at him. Idiot, get out of the way. Wow, Naruto had no time to hide. A roaring terrifying hurricane rushed straight towards him, knocking him hard against the tree trunk. In front, the Kusanagi ninja disguised as Orochimaru was raising his palms towards them. Wind release, Gale Wind Palm. Chapter 77. Why do you have to mess with me? Are you okay, Naruto? After the hurricane dissipated, Sakura quickly ran in front of Naruto. The green chakra lights up on your hand, ready to help treat it. I'm fine, it's just that my butt hurts a little from being hit, as if I've been stabbed. As he spoke, Naruto pulled out a palm-sized wooden thorn from his back. There were traces of blood hanging on the tips of the wooden thorns. Sakura. Fortunately, if it's just a little blood, there shouldn't be any need for treatment. Sakura immediately dismissed Sage Jutsu's chakra, not intending to touch Naruto's butt. Ahead, Sasuke was relieved to see that Naruto was fine. Then he turned to look at Orochimaru in front of him. You peeping rat, are you finally willing to come out? Hiding underground so close to us, you really don't take us seriously. Have you been discovered a long time ago? Orochimaru took off the bamboo hat on his head and licked the corner of his mouth with his long tongue. I thought I hid well. It looks like the next battle will be interesting. As he spoke, Orochimaru took out a scroll engraved with the word and handed it to his mouth. You hold the Book of Heaven, so you should really want the Book of Earth, right? His long tongue wrapped around the scroll, and then he slowly swallowed it into his mouth. His Adam's apple squirmed, and he finally swallowed the whole thing. Orochimaru is going to plant the curse seal of heaven on Sasuke now. By the way, let's test how far Naruto can use the power of 9 tails. If the level was not high, he was prepared to kill Naruto directly. First, it can prevent Naruto from becoming a variable in Konoha's collapse plan. Secondly, he can also take revenge on the Akatsuki organization that has been chasing him. After all, Nine Tails doesn't know when he will be reborn after death. This is certainly not good news for the Akatsuki organization, which is preparing to collect tailed beasts. If Naruto's level of control is too high, then he has to find a way to lure him away from the battlefield, or change his plan. As for the power of Nine Tails, Orochimaru is not very interested. After all, in his laboratory, there is still half an 8-tails horn that has been studied for a long time but has no use. Then let's start now, the battle for the scroll. You have to be careful, I will try my best. Orochimaru touched his eyes with his hands, and violent murderous intent poured out. Like a raging tide, it crashed into Sasuke, Naruto, and Sakura in front. What a strong murderous aura. But it's useless to us. It's far worse than Fengxu. The three of them were just a little scared in their hearts, but their bodies were not out of control as they were crushed by the killing intent. Oh, I underestimated you? Orochimaru's eyes moved slightly, and Genjutsu chakra followed with murderous intent. Genjutsu, the art of seeing Naruto. In an instant, all three people in the distance froze. The image of himself being killed even appeared in his mind. Looking at these pictures, Sakura couldn't stand it at first. Because of fear, his body went limp and he sat on the ground, and his eyes shed tears uncontrollably. Sasuke's pupils shrank suddenly, and then blood red covered his entire eyes, and his double Megatama appeared. The images in my mind were quickly cleared after Sharingan appeared. Sharingan? Finally appeared. Orochimaru looked surprised. But before he could finish his surprise, Naruto, who was faster than Sasuke, had already leaned over and rushed over. The moment he hit Genjutsu, the Genjutsu chakra was swept away by Fengxu in his consciousness with a wave of his hand. It didn't work. Could it be that Nine Tails helped him out? Orochimaru frowned. This was not good news. I originally thought that the Nine Tails chakra was captured by force with the help of 8-sign seal. Now it seems that it is more likely that Naruto and Nine Tails have reached a consensus. Naruto didn't feel any impact at all. Sasuke gritted his teeth as he looked at Naruto rushing away. Even though Fengxu hadn't come out yet, how could Naruto wake up faster than him with Sharingan? Naruto didn't know what they were thinking. He only saw that as soon as Orochimaru opened his eyes, his friends around him were attacked. So he was very angry and just wanted to beat up Orochimaru. You long-tongued bastard. I won't allow you to hurt my partner. Multiple shadow clone techniques. The moment he approached Orochimaru, Naruto also formed the last seal. Suddenly, the mountain of shadow clone appeared again. At the same time, their hands continued to form seals. Are you going to do that kind of ninjutsu that wins by quantity again? It's such a luxury to waste chakra like this. Now let me tell you a truth, no matter how much quantity you have, it is better to have higher quality. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes slightly, quickly formed seals in his hands, and puffed up his cheeks. Wind escape great breakthrough. A tornado that was even bigger than the one created by the shadow clone before was blown out of Orochimaru's mouth. The terrifying wind pressure even lifted the surrounding land, and the trees were uprooted. The shadow clone on the other side also completed the ninja seal at this time. Wind release vacuum sphere, XN. Phew, phew, phew. Countless air blasts, like bullets fired from machine guns, roared out of the shadow clones' mouths. These wind bombs slice through the air and break through tornado hurricanes. Drag white air channels in the air. In the end, it all fell on Orochimaru. And Orochimaru was like a disco dancer. His whole body was shaken wildly by the wind bullets, and he fell to the ground. Orochimaru. What the hell, wasn't it the great breakthrough before? Can anyone tell him why he suddenly turned into a B-class vacuum sphere? Ha ha ha, you are still arrogant. You disgusting tongue weirdo, you'd better go home and lie down for a few months, just a little bit. Naruto missed Orochimaru's vitals. Instead, they all hit the abdomen, limbs, and other places, just to seriously injure them. I really almost capsized and damaged this body. I really don't know if you are kind or arrogant. How dare you hold back in such a life and death battle? You didn't faint. Naruto, who was about to leave, looked back in surprise. I saw Orochimaru, who had fallen to the ground and was seriously injured, lying on the ground with his limbs twisted and his mouth inexplicably open. The next second, a pair of hands stretched out from that big mouth. Then a large amount of transparent mucus flowed, bringing out a complete and intact body. Orokai-style substitution technique. It consumes a lot of chakra, uses the external body as a substitute, and transfers its own Muji ninjutsu from the mouth. Wow. Naruto, who saw this disgusting scene, stayed where he was. Orochimaru was not polite and immediately stood up and stretched out his arms. Latent shadow snake hands. In an instant, Orochimaru's hands turned into countless lion majesty, sweeping out towards Naruto and Shadow Clone. In just one breath, Naruto's Shadow Clone exploded one after another. Even Naruto himself was entangled and imprisoned by a large number of snakes, and then was lifted in front of Orochimaru. Naruto. The situation on the field suddenly took a turn for the worse, and Naruto turned from victory to defeat in an instant. Sasuke in the distance didn't even react for a moment. By the time he reacted, Orochimaru had already taken out a kunai and pressed it against Naruto's neck. In consciousness, Fengxu, who was watching the show, sighed. Why do you have to think about it? Isn't it better to plant the heavenly curse seal on Sasuke and then get out of here? Chapter 78. Two personalities face each other for the first time. Shaking his head, Fengxu took a step forward. The next moment, he arrived in the sealed space of 9 tails. Because the seal of the 4 elephants has not been closed for the time being, the sealed space is no longer the dim scene of the sewer. Instead, it turned into a huge white and bright space. In the middle of this space, 9 tails was lying on the ground with relish, watching Naruto being beaten outside. Seeing Fengxu suddenly appear, a curious look appeared on its fox face. Naruto stretched out his furry paw and pointed outside, then pointed at Fengxu, and asked blankly, why did you come to my place suddenly? According to the plot, shouldn't you go out and beat up this little white snake now and stew it into snake meat soup? Do you think I'm a nanny? Fengxu raised his eyebrows and asked. Isn't it? If it's not, then it's not. What's the point of being so mean with such a stinky face? 9 tails who was just about to ask isn't it? After seeing the dangerous expression on Fengxu's face, he retracted his words decisively. But he yelled angrily in his heart, he is not a nanny but also a bodyguard? Don't forget, we are connected to chakra. Fengxu's tone was calm, but his cold eyes were like knives cutting into 9 tails' body. 9 tails. Because it couldn't feel Fengxu's thoughts, it forgot about it. Then again, why can Fengxu feel its thoughts, but it can't feel Fengxu's thoughts? The old man from 6 paths is really unreliable? No wonder the desire to use this method to make people understand each other failed. NND, it turns out it's completely useless. Too lazy to pay attention to this sultry and arrogant fox. Fengxu waved his hand towards the open space on one side. The next moment, Naruto, with fear in his eyes, appeared next to him. Let me go. As soon as he appeared here, Naruto was still struggling outside. But soon he found that the surrounding environment had changed, and the Orochimaru who tied him disappeared. What kind of place is this? Fengxu. Turning around to observe, Naruto saw Fengxu who looked the same as him, but was inexplicably more handsome. Although it was the first time we met face to face. But that familiarity and closeness, as well as the inexplicable desire for control, reminded Naruto that the person in front of him was his sub-personality. Immediately afterwards, the huge 9 tails behind Fengxu also came into Naruto's sight. 9 tails demon fox. Be careful behind you. Without thinking, Naruto opened his hand and blocked Fengxu in front of him, with a look on his face as if he was facing a formidable enemy. At the same time, he asked in a low voice, Fengxu, was it discovered that you stole 9 tails chakra? It doesn't matter, that fox looks stupid, we'll just say it's some pervy sage's fault later. Because Fengxu has been using 9 tails chakra, he has never seen 9 tails appear. In addition, Fengxu always said that this method was not applicable to him before, and he still needed to sharpen his mind more. And now the two are caught in the seal where 9 tails is. Naruto's clever mind turned around and he instantly guessed the whole story. 9 tails yawned out of boredom. Without looking at Naruto, he asked Fengxu directly. You brought this idiot here because you want me to lend him your strength and let him beat up the little snake outside. With the addition of Naruto, 9 tails put on airs again and began to call themselves I. That's right, just like you just thought, I don't want to be a nanny or bodyguard anymore. I took the initiative to go out to fight on my behalf before because I wanted to increase my trust, dependence, and blackening value. But now, relying solely on proxy players, the trust and dependence value can no longer go down. There are also more ways to obtain blackening value, and he does not need to fight for those 3 melons and 2 dates. So while Jiraiya didn't help Naruto master the power of 9 tails, he intercepted this opportunity first and let Naruto take initial control. Lend me your power. Naruto's face quickly changed from wary to excited. Then he turned around and grabbed Fengxu's arm, hugging him immediately. I knew that Fengxu, your sharp tongue and your soft heart, was the best for me. You must have worked hard for a long time to get 9 tails now, so you brought me to find it to get chakra. Yes, that's true. Fengxu twitched the corners of his mouth, and then agreed with this statement. The hand that originally wanted to push Naruto away turned into stroking Naruto's head due to the system's message. After all, I am your only relative. On the outside, I am a twin from the same mother. You said I won't help your stupid, badass brother. Who else can I help? Naruto. Blackening value plus 10,000. Current blackening value, 11,000. Host personality trust and dependence value, 67%. 50% cannot be dropped. Naruto had just beaten Rain Shinobi violently, and Rain Shinobi praised him for his strength and genius, and his blackening value increased by 1,000. As for the trust and dependence value, it dropped by 5% except when he tricked Naruto into treating Jiraiya and when he took 2 people and 1 fox away. Now, the ones that will fall have gone up by 10%, and the ones that won't fall have gone up by 5%. Sure enough, in Naruto's heart, he hoped that he would not be alone, but have blood relatives. I am finally no longer alone. I have a brother. Automatically ignoring the stupidity and smell in front of him, Naruto burst into tears. 9 tails. It wouldn't be curious if these 250 main personalities disappeared tomorrow. That's enough, stop crying. Naruto was about to wipe his nose and tears on himself. Fengxu frowned and pushed him away in disgust, then pointed at 9 tails. It's time to test the results of your previous mental training. Go to Kurama and take as much chakra as you can, it won't stop you. You also need to grow up. You can't ask me to go out and protect you every time you encounter danger. Because I lied to Naruto to get scolded before, and I said it was to train him. Now Fengxu just happened to use it, and he could also fulfill his previous lies. Nine Tails looked at Naruto who was walking in front of them, grinning like a kid. Kid, my power is not something that ordinary people can control. These hatreds are no worse than Bao Fengxu's memories. If you take too many, he. Hearing Nine Tails' threats, a determined look appeared on Naruto's face. I'm not afraid. If Fengxu can bear it, I will try to bear it too. I can't let my brother bear those memories all the time. I want to help him share them so that he no longer suffers. As the value of trust and dependence increased, Fengxu's status in Naruto's heart was not much worse than that of Sasuke Sakura. Humph, you ignorant brat. Nine Tails stopped beeping. A foxtail came directly from behind, and then completely integrated into Naruto's body. Naruto also showed hatred and murderous intent at this moment, and his eyes were dyed into light red vertical pupils. At the same time, outside, Orochimaru's kunai had scratched the skin of Naruto's neck. A wisp of bright red blood seeped out quickly. Chapter 79 Naruto and Sakura, you can only choose one. Sasuke-kun, if you don't hurry up, I'm really going to kill him. Because he subdued Naruto too easily. Therefore, Orochimaru was very suspicious of Kabuto's intelligence and did not immediately kill him. Instead, he used his long tongue to lick the blood that spilled from Naruto's neck, irritating Sasuke who looked nervous and worried in the distance. He wanted to see how far Sasuke had grown. Do you need to cultivate it again before using it as a body? Damn it, why didn't Fengxu come out this time? The situation is obviously so critical, doesn't he want to live? He looked at Naruto who was bleeding profusely from his neck and his eyes were dull. Sasuke's heart twitched hard, and then he clenched his fists. This feeling of powerlessness reminded him of that night more than 7 years ago, when he was also so powerless. No, he is different now than before. Although the murderous intent and genjutsu of the man in front of him made him unable to resist, he was far worse than Uchiha Itachi. If he couldn't muster the courage now, how could he kill Uchiha Itachi in the future? Thinking of this, Sasuke's expression became determined, and his eyes were filled with strong murderous intent. Oh, have you finally mustered up the courage to attack me? Orochimaru's smile became even more excited, and Kakuzu's mouth touched the base of his ears. Then let me help you add more fire. As he spoke, Orochimaru bit his finger with a free hand and then slapped it on the ground. Spiritualism, bang, black runes spread out, and the white smoke disappeared in a flash. A huge flower python, more than 10 meters long and 2 meters wide, appeared around. I saw the tail of the big snake just not far from Sakura. With a random twist of his tail, Sakura, who was still unable to move due to the genjutsu, was rolled into the air. Sasuke, start choosing. Sasuke, should I choose Naruto in my hand or Sakura in Orochi's mouth? Orochimaru smiled wildly and looked at Sasuke with joy on his face. However, Sasuke didn't even look at Sakura who was swept away. Instead, he swooped forward and formed seals on his chest with his hands at an extremely fast speed. The Sharingan on his face was staring at Orochimaru with a fierce light. Let me go Naruto. The smile on Orochimaru's face did not diminish, and he aimed the kunai at Naruto's neck again. It seems you have made your choice, so come on. Roar. When Orochimaru finished shouting, the snake opened its bloody mouth and swallowed Sakura. At the same time, a shrill sound like the chirping of 1,000 birds resounded through the forest. Bah! Sasuke, who was running, finally completed the seal, and a flash of thunder appeared on his right hand. This is... Orochimaru's eyes were full of disbelief and surprise. But before he could say anything in surprise, Sasuke suddenly disappeared in the distance. The next second, Sasuke's voice and the harsh chirping of birds came from below Orochimaru. I asked you to let go of Naruto, didn't you hear it? Bah! Sizzle! The terrifying thunder and lightning instantly hit Orochimaru's abdomen. Orochimaru's whole body was suddenly like a rag in the wind, laughing wildly and shaking crazily on the spot. Ha ha ha. This lightning style, this is what it feels like. You actually mastered ninjutsu with this change in nature. What a beautiful qualification. Sasuke, I can't wait to get it. Learning the changes in the nature of chakra will enhance the power of ninjutsu with corresponding attributes. Just like Naruto's great breakthrough and Orochimaru's great breakthrough. Naruto's is just a formula released from the knot seal, and its power is far less than that of Orochimaru, who understands the change of nature. Some ninjutsu require understanding of nature changes before they can be released, such as Chidori. Another example is the other Raise Non, which requires mastering the form changes in order to successfully compress the chakra and release it. As Orochimaru was hit, the snake binding Naruto dissipated and fell to the ground. But Orochimaru, who was laughing wildly in front of him, suddenly had a smile on his face and his body turned brown. Then it shattered and fell to the ground like dirt. It's the escape clone. Sasuke's pupils shrank suddenly. He immediately grabbed Naruto's collar from the ground and wanted to take him away from here. The escape clone is a shadow clone that has changed properties. Chakra consumes less, and the consciousness is completely controlled by the body, and it is more resistant to beatings. The scroll is here for you, don't chase it anymore. While escaping, a scroll engraved with the word was thrown out by Sasuke. Orochimaru's unclear words just now made him feel extremely dangerous. So Sasuke didn't want to be entangled anymore and planned to take Naruto to rescue Sakura and then run away. If I kill you, the scroll will still belong to me. The scroll was just a cover, and Orochimaru never thought about taking any scroll. He was standing on top of the big snake that swallowed Sakura. He controlled the big snake and swung its tail, knocking the running Sasuke upside down. Sasuke stood up immediately after landing, placed Naruto at his feet, and began to form seals quickly in his hands. Prepare to use Chidori to open the big snake's belly, rescue Sakura, and run away. Latent Shadow Snake Hand. After experiencing Chidori once, Orochimaru was not ready to experience it a second time. He reached out and transformed into several slender pythons, tightly wrapping Sasuke below him, just like Naruto before. Then the software-modified neck suddenly stretched out. Like a long-necked monster, it bit Sasuke's neck. However, click, Naruto, who fell to the ground, stood up at some point. He is covered in reddish evil chakra, with a chakra fox tail floating behind him. With one hand, he grabbed Orochimaru's neck and bit him. The eyes turned into scarlet fox pupils, 4 sharp tiger teeth appeared on the upper and lower jaws at the corners of the mouth, and the beards on both sides of the cheeks became thicker. Coupled with the ferocious expression on his face, it looks extremely terrifying. You are not allowed to move, my partner. A sound like the roar of a wild beast came from Naruto's mouth. Brutal murderous intent and ominous aura spurted out. Fengxu. No, you are Naruto. Sasuke was happy at first, and then turned from happy to shocked. You can actually use Nine Tails chakra. Naruto ignored Sasuke, but grabbed Orochimaru's neck and jumped out like a missile. In just a blink of an eye, the big snake in front of him was hit through the belly, then a black shadow flew back at an extremely fast speed and hit Sasuke in his arms. It's unconscious Sakura? Take Sakura, leave this place to me. Naruto was obviously greatly affected, and his words were somewhat awkward to speak. Sasuke took a deep look at Naruto, finally nodded, and quickly turned around and fled. Don't even think about running away. Taking advantage of the time to speak, Orochimaru used the Orochimaru substitution technique again and slipped out of the mouth of his original body. Then he bit his finger and slammed his hands on the floor. Psychicism 10,000 Snakes. Chapter 80 Naruto who beats up all the snakes. Bang! A plume of smoke rose up covering hundreds of meters. Immediately afterwards, a huge purple snake head poked out of the smoke. The body nearly 200 meters away was stirring and billowing with smoke. Thousands of snakes. Longi Cave, the leader of the snakes under the white snake immortal. The 4 horns faintly growing out of the snake's head also represent that it has begun to transform into a dragon and has extremely strong strength. Orochimaru's 10,000 snakes. Quan Shi's huge body towering into the sky, Hong Do outside the examination room could see it at a glance. She was suddenly shocked and angry, and immediately turned around and shouted to the other examiners. You go and inform Lord Hokage, I will go in and stop Orochimaru. After speaking, without waiting for anyone else to reply, he instantly turned into a shadow and disappeared from the place. The other side. The huge head of the snakes bowed down and did not look at Orochimaru immediately, but stared at Naruto. This is Nine Tails Chakra. After seeing Naruto's appearance, the snakes turned and stared at Orochimaru fiercely. Orochimaru, why did you leave this mess to me again? Be careful, I will eat you first. Orochimaru has long been accustomed to the threat of 10,000 snakes and doesn't care. If he could really be defeated, he would have been swallowed by these snakes long ago. But now we still need Wan's help, so Orochimaru gently patted Quan Shi under his feet. Help me stop this brat, and I'll give you 50 fresh blood meals as a sacrifice afterwards. 50 sacrifices. Quan Shi's eyes lit up, she didn't expect Orochimaru to be so generous this time. Since he is so generous, it also means that Orochimaru is in a hurry now. So Quan Shi spit out the letter, came close to the big snake, and bargained. I want 100 sacrifices, and they must be fresh and delicious child chakra. Hearing this, Orochimaru's eyes turned cold, and the smile on his face disappeared instantly. There are only 40 now, otherwise I wouldn't mind killing you and letting the White Snake Immortal choose a new leader. The current Orochimaru is not the Orochimaru who had his hands sealed, so he is quite tough. Huh, just you. Although Quan Shi looked disdainful, she still turned the snake's head and pointed it at Naruto. 40 is 40, but the age cannot be more than 15 years old. Orochimaru didn't reply, and jumped forward, chasing the direction in which Sasuke escaped. Whoosh, no, right, let's go. Naruto fell to the ground on all fours, and the muscles covered by the light red chakra suddenly tensed and exerted force. Boom! The huge force caused the ground to break and collapse, and Naruto was like a rapidly shooting arrow. In an instant, it hit Orochimaru in front of him, blocking his way. Seeing that Naruto ignored him to stop Orochimaru, Wanza suddenly became angry and quickly glided forward. You brat, your opponent is me. Rumble! As the huge body twisted, it stirred up countless gravels and crushed the trees and trees. Naruto in one-tail chakra mode was tightly entangled in the middle. Orochimaru also took the opportunity to jump away quickly and followed Sasuke's direction. Give me, come back, come. Naruto aimed at Orochimaru's back again, moving at high speed with all 4 limbs in pursuit. But Quan Shi, who was well prepared, directly waved his tail and hit Naruto who was jumping in the air and threw him to the ground. I told you brat, don't even think about going there now while I'm here. As he spoke, the snake swooped down again and used its snake head to push Naruto in the opposite direction where Orochimaru left. Rumble! The surrounding area of several hundred meters was instantly enveloped by a huge amount of smoke and dust. The huge snake body pulled out a sunken tunnel comparable to a tunnel on the dirt floor. Not enough, I want more. 9 tails. Naruto, who was pushed, roared towards the sky. In his mind, Fengxu also nodded towards 9 tails, telling Naruto the chakra with 2 tails, it still doesn't have to expel the hatred it carries. If you want to use this power, you have to bear the price it brings. Let Naruto take a good look at the extremely violent killing intent and desire to destroy in his heart. Hearing this, 9 tails' eyes lit up with excitement, and he smiled. Obviously it can be easily solved by taking over the body, but you are really evil. But I like it. In the final analysis, we are the same as each other. With 9 tails attached, he swung his claws without hesitation and released a large amount of chakra again. Roar. Naruto, who was pushed by 10,000 snakes, let out an inhuman roar. Then he stepped hard into the earth with both feet, stopping the huge thrust of one snake. At the same time, the light red chakra on the body turns to dark red. Chakra's tail swaying wantonly quickly turned into 2. His teeth and nails grew longer and sharper again, and the remaining sanity in his pupils almost disappeared at this time. The next second, the muscles in Naruto's arms surged, he hugged the snake's head and lifted it up, then he smashed it hard into the ground. The earth shattered and cracked in an instant, and countless gravels and dust flew into the air. Even the entire forest of death was shaken like an earthquake. Damn brat. Wanshi, who was so smashed that his eyes were filled with stars, angrily circled and burrowed into the ground. Immediately afterwards, the ground beneath Naruto's feet collapsed instantly, and a bloody mouth quickly rose from the ground. Go to hell. Just stay in my belly and slowly wait for it to dissolve and digest. Gilu. Naruto, who had no time to dodge and didn't even think about dodge, was directly swallowed by the snakes. But before Wanshi could be happy, he saw that his belly was like rubber, with Naruto inside constantly beating outwards to create a bulge. Just like a sea urchin in the sea, as if its belly will be broken open in the next second. But Wanshi is not a vegetarian either. While it controls gastrointestinal peristalsis and squeezes, its body also rolls rapidly on the ground. If Naruto was still rational, he would definitely be dizzy and lose his strength for a while. But now Naruto's reason has obviously been replaced by the desire to kill. Wanshi's rolling was of no use at all. On the contrary, its belly had been pushed until it was almost half as long as its body. No, the price Orochimaru has given me can only delay it for so long. Wanshi, who didn't want to be burst out of her belly, opened her bloody mouth again. After a while of squirming, Naruto vomited out the contents of his stomach. Then, before Naruto could fight again, it turned into air with a bang and returned to Ryokai Cave. Although there were no enemies left, Naruto, who had fallen into a rage, did not stop. Fengxu in his consciousness had no intention of switching personalities. Let Naruto jump in a certain direction, constantly displaying his desire to destroy everything. Hokage office. Sarutobi Hiruzen clearly saw Naruto's current appearance through the telescope technique. Because of Jiraiya's relationship before, he was unable to conduct voyeuristic surveillance. But since Jiraiya was seriously injured and brought back for treatment, he has been paying attention to Naruto. Instead of letting Fengxu come out to fight, did he successfully use the power of 9 tails? It's just that this level of control is too useless. It's not like Fengxu's ability to wave his fingers like an arm, not even half of it. And Orochimaru, what is he going to do when he returns to the village this time? Take the initiative to approach Naruto and the others. Could it be that with Danzo? Sarutobi Hiruzen was a little undecided at the thought of Danzo, who had retreated to his lair and was safe and sound without provoking Naruto again. After a long while, he ordered towards the darkness with a gloomy face. Let Tenzo deal with the out-of-control Naruto. Yamato's basic code name is A, and Hokage's direct subordinate Umbu is Tenzo. Send 2 more squads to monitor Orochimaru and figure out his purpose. Yes. Umbu appeared in the darkness, saluted, and then disappeared.